to predictability. The milkman, the paper boy, evening TV. You miss your old familiar friends, but waiting just around the bend. Everywhere you look, there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, there's a love of somebody who needs you. When you're lost out there and you're all alone, a life is waiting to carry you home. Everywhere you look.
Metalheads. Look at us. Metalheads. Three amigos tonight. You get the lovely, as always, Miss Anthropy with us. All right. The best producer in the game. Sorry, Rich. You're the silent producer. She's the best producer. No offense. But we got it all here hanging out for Morning Productions. We got to play the monthly again. Appreciate it coming on here. Lee banging out those phone lines again or whatever he's doing. Clank, clank, clank on his, probably just on his phone, whatever. But again, he's gotten us another extraordinary guest. Are we excited?
So excited. What? Ghosts. I'm excited.
Absolutely. I'm wearing my apparition shirt. Thank you, Barry. Got the Brooklyn Hardcore, my apparition shirt here. I know we got some fun stuff to do with Mr. Josh from Phantom Detectives is going to be joining us. Hail to the chat. Evan, Bruce, Megan, Sunday morning sessions. I see you guys.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, welcome. Rich, Aaron, the Metal Theologian's here. Welcome,
hey.
Brother. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Some memberships out there for you guys. I don't know why we can't pick the members. Otherwise, people would probably just do it all the time. So we gifted 5 new memberships tonight. So
5 memberships going out to you guys.
Love it. I love it. I love having her on with us, you guys. We're lucky. She doesn't always come on. We're lucky. She wants to. We're here. We're all, the 3 of us have a lot of ghosty questions, and I've had experiences. I know Miss A has. I don't know if Lee has or hasn't. I know Lee's been to a lot of cool places and there were just an entire backstage conversation right now that almost spilled onto the air, by the way. So we're going to have a good time tonight. James G, welcome. Good to see you here. Joseph Fitzharris, welcome, brother. That guy, he was the fan feedback of the week. What was that, last week, you guys? He came off a 12-hour shift, caught the show, and couldn't get enough. He had a great time. So thank you for your feedback. Oh, look at that. You got the Pink Floyd Laser Light Show. I know. I wanted to... Come on, man.
That's what happens when you get like a new computer and gives me the shit one. Look.
The magic is gone on mine. You know what I mean? It's just like it's bright. Nothing happens.
Mine's lucky to turn on. So I'm just happy when the light goes green.
Hold on. Let me just right there. We're good. All right. We can't wait to get Josh on. But before we do that, we thank all of you for being here, first and foremost. See, look at that. Just in time with the love hearts there. That was great. Wow, we're all having a love fest here. We know you all love that Fomorian merch. Head on over to FomorianProductions.com if you haven't already and get some of that Fomorian merch that you love so much. We've got Father's Day around the corner in a few weeks in June. We've got Memorial Day weekend. You get your favorite veteran a CD, a Cuernos del Chivo, a Warhammer Hate Crimes. You know, you got a bunch of types of Pius Levis patches maybe for your favorite veteran. Marty, welcome. Heavy Metallurgy. Shout out Marty. Doing a great job over there on Wednesdays and Fridays. Him and Alan over there. And yeah, check it out here. This is one of our new things we've been doing. I know Lee, if you didn't catch it last night, Warhammer and Miss A did a live stream last night where they talked about in a little more detail of what we're doing over here at Fomorian as far as moving into a little more content creation as opposed to just doing underground metal that you all love. Hails Toasty, good to see you here, my brother. It's your birthday, yeah, your kid's birthday, Aaron. Get him a Pius Levis patch, him or her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They could be
yeah.
the coolest kid in school or wherever they are. College, I don't know. I'm not going to guess the kid's age and out you. We don't need to age each other out here tonight. And while you're out there, while you're on the interwebs, we all saw Friday night our very good friend. Us three were lucky enough to hang out and party with these guys in Houston. Mordant Red had a hell of a live stream, sold out before I could even get my copy. So just good thing I'm friends with the guy, because I texted him earlier in the day when I tried to order, and he said he was going to hold one for me. So hope you have it, Revix, because I can't get it's not.
I did check on Gem's label. There is some on that. They're not saying how many. They did say it was limited to 100, which sounds weird for vinyl, but that's what it says on their thing.
Right. I know CDs are coming. So if you didn't get the vinyls, there's a CD. I was trying to get a deluxe package, honestly. I wanted that. It was, $50. Hails JD. Yeah, I know, dude. Good luck. I don't know if he's got them, JD. I tried. I tried ordering 3 times during the stream, and it kept telling me, you're done. It would get all the way to credit card thing, and it's like, you're done, fucko. And I'm like, damn. And I was like, I'm going to text him. And the one thing I know not to do is ever text him when he's on a live stream or record. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, nope, I'll just save it for another day. And those dudes had band practice next day, by the way, because I did text them Saturday morning. But they're going to be out on the Cruel tour this summer. Go check them out. They're hitting like a Texas, East Coast, I don't know what you want to call that leg. They're going to go to New York. They're going to be in New Jersey. They're going to be in Houston. They're going to be in Ohio at Dead by Dog. Let me say, I think we have that flyer, the one of those.
We do. Oh, here it is. Which one am I doing? That one?
That one first, please. Yeah, that's the one. The Cruel Summer Tour updated. So they were able to fill those dates. They got the 13th there in Frederick, Maryland. And that Sunday date in Patterson, New Jersey. It says it's a matinee, so it's going to be in the afternoon show at the Mancora Lounge. Go check out these dudes. Again, us three are very lucky. We got to see them live in Houston and hang out with them, too. Got a little personal. And they will hang out with you if you go see them. And some crazy fuckery will occur. And if just because to show you one of the flyers, we've got that Patterson, New Jersey flyer right there. All right, that's Sunday, June 14th. What's that? 5 to 10. It's a matinee, so they might be one of the earlier acts on it. You got the Jersey Devil there, and Lord Humongous with Mordant Red. What's that, man? What's that there, man? What's that, May? I can't read the one underneath Mordant Red.
June something.
No, what's that band name?
Oh,
it's that.
Let's see, Jersey Devil, Lord Humongous,
Injection or something, or okay.
I don't know. Red on black on white. Who does that?
I can't read it. I don't know.
It's hard to read that bottom one.
I can't read it.
Put it in Comic Sans or some shit so we can understand it. Good luck shouting out a band.
I love it. I can't wait to get that new split. It's a great split. Lee's just a little, because he's an authentic Australian, him and the whole Lord Humongous thing have personal, I don't know, it's his bullshit. It's a Warhammer thing. Anyways, we love you for it, though. You got, hey, he's just proud Australian.
I'm only going to buy the Mordant Red side. I'm going to see if they just have the red side.
Just the one side. Missy, can you show the split? Actually, I've got a photo of it up there.
Oh, do you?
This isn't my. I should be in there.
Yeah,
there it is. Yeah, that's the. That looks like it's the Lord Humongous side. In fact, for you, Lee, on that vinyl. But I like the artwork. That's cool as shit. I think it's cool. And again, Revik, you said you held one for me. I hope you did, bro. I'm going to check our brotherhood on that one. Well, I came home and I'm like, I got to get on the Wi-Fi to order it. And I was like, and then I couldn't. I'm like, oh, wait. I'm like, it must be available like right when the show goes live, So, of course, I texted him immediately. He's like, yeah. And then before I could ask and use my power of the internet show hosts and say, could you save me one? He offered to hold one. So I'm going to hold you to it. Just kidding. We're bros. What else? You got Paul. Oh wait, no, we have another new ad since this dude's doing live streams all the time now, and he's doing a good job like campfire chats and stuff. Go check out this YouTube channel right here, the Warhammer 666 Australian go ahead, AUSBM. That's the black metal on YouTube, or go check out his Instagram, Warhammer 666. What's that?
537 subscribers. I lost one today. I was unbelievable. Actually, you know what? Every week I want to come on when I get a new one. I want to hold the number up, So I had this 538 ready to go, and then 537. So
I saw the 537 last night during the stream, and I was like, I almost texted you, but I didn't want to jinx it, But no, go check him out. He has a much larger following on Instagram. I don't know what you got, like 1,800 or so followers over on Instagram. Build him up.
Like,
this guy,
Kim Kardashian on Instagram. Except
yeah, he
YouTube,
is.
I'm just like a horrible. I don't know what it is. Do you know what it is? Because I'm not very active on there. I want to be like Revik.
We're gonna be more active. The live stream, like that went pretty well last night. We had a really good time. So we might live stream like once a week. So you guys make sure you follow his page if you don't already. Hit the notifications so that you get notified when he goes live. Make sure you share it and subscribe. Smash that like button.
Up there one more time, so everybody share this out, screenshot that. Go help a brother out, man. Go help. Look at this, a beautiful man there, and I love it. Safe spaces are for pussies. It says it right there. All right.
Irreverence.
Okay. What do you two amazing humans say? Should we go grab our guest from backstage? Should we haul him out here? And
we've been kept him waiting for about 12 minutes. We should bring him on. We told him 5. It's been 13. Yeah. Sorry.
He's asleep.
I didn't mention that other part of the monologue when we were backstage. I should have.
1 second. Okay. Now we'll go.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Hello.
Welcome, Josh from Phantom Detectives LLC and Dark Matter News. Welcome. Get the laser light show for Josh.
That was cool.
Hey, Josh, good to have you.
So excited to be here. I was planning on this for weeks, and I was telling all of my friends and family about the show tonight, and I'm looking forward to answering any questions from your end and from your listeners' end.
Did they show up, Josh? Because I'm not seeing them.
Keeping that in mind.
We'll be there.
Listen, guys, in the chatters, get your questions ready, okay? I'm going to be monitoring the chat and being live at the same time because that's what's happening today, apparently. And anytime you guys ask a question, as long as it's not stupid, I will post it up for to read, okay? If you ask a dumb question,
99%.
I'm going to just... Come on, guys. Some good questions for Josh. He came on, cleared up his schedule so we can talk about some cool ghostly things. And you know me, I'm a spooky girl. I'm an elder goth, so this is right up my alley here. So I can't wait. So anyway, let me not take over the show. Shred, Warhammer, you guys, go ahead. Oh, this way.
I could start off. I mean, I'll give you the basic softball, Josh, first, and then I know Lee's got some interesting ones, and I've got some follow-ups, and I got one that Megan submitted as well. But the first easy softballer is, what got you started or interested in paranormal investigation in the first place?
I think what really got my start in the supernatural and the paranormal is I would say basically there was 2 television shows back in the 70s and 80s that really helped pioneer paranormal research. The first one I used to watch all the time when I was a 3-year-old kid in 1987 was a show called In Search Of by Leonard Nimoy. He played Spock on Star Trek, and I'm a friend of his son, Adam Nimoy. I know Adam very well. Looks just like Leonard. And In Search of, it really was one of the first television shows that had like Bigfoot cases. It talked about aliens and UFOs and ghosts well before any other TV show ever counted. It's like the OG of paranormal television. And then in 1987, there was this episode of basically on a show called Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack. And Robert Stack really was one of the first television shows that air after Leonard Nimoy's In Search Of. And so there was an episode on there called The Haunting of the General Wayne Inn in Marion Station, Pennsylvania. It was about this old English coaching inn that date back to 1704. It was one of those shows like that. It dealt with basically covered this old inn that had supposedly called the Inn of the 17 Ghosts. And also during that time, the episode covered about people seeing Hessian soldiers in the basement, and famous dignitaries like George Washington, Marquis de Lafayette, Edgar Allan Poe stayed there. He wrote several stanzas of The Raven. Ben Franklin sort of mailed there. So it was quite common in the 18th century when our country was founded for people to stay at this old inn. And it was named after Revolutionary War hero Major General Anthony Wayne in 1792, who I might be related to, a possible descendant. So the actual inn actually also covered how people would see not only Hessian soldiers, but they would also, supposedly some of the women were sitting at the bar, and they would sometimes have like a little tickle come up their neck, and they would think that would be their husband, and their husbands would be standing behind them, not even anywhere near them. And then there was also reports of people seeing cars, like supposedly a valet would be outside and the car was turned on the start position, by itself, and also the doors were locked. That was a valet. Also, they also reported seeing different like shadows and voices throughout the inn. So that episode really fascinated me. So a couple years later, in like 1989, 1990, I was the Ghostbusters kid, and I loved watching the Ghostbusters movies and television shows. And I think for me, watching Bill Murray and Harold Ramis and Ernie Hudson and all of them, and of course Dan Aykroyd, they were really one of the first people, and they actually got their start by reading books by Hans Holzer. Dr. Holzer was pretty much the first original Ghostbuster before it was even called Ghostbuster, and he was a paranormal investigator that did cases all the way back in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, even up to his death in 2009. He was really one of the first real paranormal investigators. He used to rely on like using trans mediums like Sybil Leek and Ethel Myers, and Dr. Holzer's books and stuff became the inspiration for Ghostbusters as we know it today. So those books really helped pioneer. So as we got into the 1990s, I started picking up every book on the paranormal. I started reading all of Dr. Holzer's books and his cases, and I'm pretty well knowledgeable on almost a lot of his cases. I really was fascinated. I remember also reading a book called Communion by Whitley Strieber, which is about alien abductions. And I remember it was about how Whitley was in the forest and how he got abducted and, abducted by the Greys. And, it also became a major movie. I think The Day After Tomorrow was inspired by the book Communion. And then in 1993, I remember as a 9-year-old kid, there was this radio show host. I remember hearing This Is Dreamland with Art Bell. And literally, I flipped on the AM dial one night as a 9-year-old kid, and I was drawn to this voice, hearing him talk to John Lear about Area 51 and UFOs. And I was immediately hooked to the show. And Art Bell, really was a really true pioneer. Listening to him on his shows, Area 2000, Dreamland, and also Coast to Coast AM, he really was one of the OGs of helping our field get to what it is today. And he had affiliates on 600 radio stations and 15 million listeners at his peak. So hearing him talk about Madman Markham, about time travel, hearing talk about different things like angels with John Bronner, and different topics like that were really fascinating. And then in the as we got on later in the 1990s, I remember watching another television show out there that was basically called Most Haunted with Yvette Fielding and Carl Beatty. Mm-hmm. And this show was really fascinating because it was one of those shows that Most Haunted was before Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. It actually was about they would investigate old English castles, and they would go and go through like the Tower of London and Scotland Yard and just do ghost hunting all over in the late 90s. That was really one of the first original true ghost hunting shows on television before any other show came out there. And then in 2002, I actually did my first ever paranormal investigation. I actually had the opportunity to investigate the General Wayne Inn in Marion Station, Pennsylvania, with my late mentor, Michael Lean Mayer. Michael Lean was featured on an episode of basically that General Wayne Inn episode in 1987, and I actually had the chance to shadow her and do a public investigation in the basement area. And in the basement of the General Wayne Inn, there were reports people seeing a Hessian soldier named Wilhelm from the American Revolution. So I took at the time, ghost hunting equipment wasn't really sophisticated like it was now. You might have had an EMF meter, you might have had a Geiger counter, you might have had lighted dowsing rods, and you also might have had potentially, not only lighted dowsing rods and a Geiger counter, but you also might have had maybe like a tape recorder, you can play your EVPs on and just capture spirit voices. So I took 3 consecutive photos, and usually one of the first things you learn on a public ghost hunt as go out is to take 3 consecutive photos. And one of the photos that I took had green and yellow streaks of light on it. And I have no reasonable explanation why they happened. I had them sent to like Kodak and different film experts, and they couldn't explain them. They just came back as unexplained night anomalies. So as we got around 2004, 2003, I graduated high school. I went to college and got my Bachelor of Science in Business Administration at Westchester University in 2008. And around 2004, Ghost Hunters came out on television, and I immediately became a fan of the guys from the Atlantic Paranormal Society, Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson. They were normally plumbers from Roto-Rooter, like during the day. Their day job was obviously being plumbers, but then during the night and weekends when they were off, they would, they were called the Atlantic Paranormal Society. They were based out of Rhode Island, and Jason found his society around 1991 when he was still in college, because he went to help people up in Rhode Island going through paranormal experiences. And mind you, the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, actually are based out of Rhode Island or Connecticut, right up by that area. So when Jason and Grant started it, I was immediately hooked. And I remember the first episode I watched was around 2004, 2005, watching them go investigate the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. Yeah. And mind you, that was back in the day when they allowed paranormal investigations. And I remember watching that episode, seeing the cell door fly open by itself, and one of their investigators, Brian Hardoy's, like running out of there. And that's one of my favorite memories of Ghost Hunters in the early days. And then I became friends with those guys years later, and I met them at a lot of Paracons and Unicons, and they became really close to me. I actually, they were really great people, and I had the chance to investigate with them several times, and they're great teachers too. So when that show started coming out, there was another show around 2007 called Paranormal State. It was a show on A&E, Arts and Entertainment, and it was a show about the Penn State Paranormal Research Society, founded by Ryan Buell in 2002, the students from Penn State. And one of those students during that television show at Penn State was someone named Katrina Wyman, one of the top paranormal investigators on the planet, and she was the case manager for PRS in her early days. And Heather Taddy, 2 of my mentors, and obviously Heather was the team documentarian. She did all the filming, and then you had Ryan, and then Sergey. He's got Poverizzi. It's a real long Russian name. And then you had Josh Light, and then so the PR, and also Elfie Music. And Katrina and Heather, of course, got their start on the show. And I actually have Ryan Buell's old original EMF meter, which is really cool. So I picked that up, acquired that in 2023. So as the show started coming, there was Ghost. My favorite one out of all of them probably had to be Ghost Adventures, Zach Baggins and Aaron Goodwin. And Zach Baggins, of course, was he took it like, I remember watching the first episode he did was the Bobby Mackey's Music World in 2008 on Travel Channel, and that really was known to be a very well-known haunted place. And supposedly on that episode they interviewed the caretaker Dusty, and supposedly he had all kinds of possessions and paranormal experiences at Bobby Mackey's. That episode kind of really got my start, so I started watching every episode of Ghost Adventures I could in 2008. So let's fast forward 5 years later, and in 2014, so I started basically one time on Discovery Channel. I started flipping on the television, and I saw this episode called The Haunting of Summerwind. It was season 1, episode 2 on Discovery Channel, and it's called Summerwind Mansion. And after watching the episode, I immediately became hooked on the Summerwind story. And Summerwind was a place called West Bay Lake Fishing Lodge. It was it was built in 1914 by a merchant and carpenter named John Frank from Akron, Ohio. You could stay there for $4.99 a night, and the episode covered this old mansion on West Bay Lake in Wisconsin. And then what happened was, after watching the episode, it was about this supposedly after the property was Mr. Frank founded it, he sold the fishing lodge to a U.S. Secretary of Commerce by the name of President Herbert Hoover. Or sorry, I meant Robert Patterson Lamont, who was a Secretary of Commerce under Herbert Hoover. And then basically, back in those days, he renamed it Lilac Hills because it had lilac trees on the property. And then in around 1918, 1920, Mr. Lamont supposedly had servants at him, told him, hey, the house is haunted. And he said, there's no such thing as ghosts, grow up. And then when he had his own paranormal experience, according to the show, he actually had, supposedly a door would fly open by itself, revealing the ghostly form of a man. He fired 2 shots, pow, pow, missing the ghost, and never returned to the mansion. And it's even rumored that U.S. Presidents Calvin Coolidge and Warren G. Harding actually stayed there in the 1920s. That's not 100% confirmed, but that was something that I was told by Craig Nearing, who was friends of one of the owners. And so basically,
so hang on a second, wait, just let me butt in because I'm gonna like track you back a bit, right? So to go from watching TV to going into a house, right? So who are you? Who do you have to ask to say, oh well, I mean, because they're not just letting anyone into a like a haunt, right? So
yes.
Someone's going in to investigate a house. How do you get to tag along on that? Like, who do you know to get you on that train?
Yeah, okay. So I'll dive back into Summerwind story in a second. But the house, to get permission, usually the best thing to do is go to the management of a location, like such as maybe there's an event manager at a location. There's also paranormal teams that run investigations, like your local paranormal teams in your area can sometimes get you access to buildings. So the best thing to do is sometimes they have public investigations at different locations. So you might have to look up, different paranormal teams in your area, like type in like maybe Google search, like, whatever paranormal teams near me, and you'll see a list pop up and you can find out, contact that society. And they might be able to let you tag along on investigation by doing a public ghost hunt, or they might be able to go ahead and get you into, potentially give you access to a building. You can also try to reach out if you have like people that have equipment. You might be able to reach out to like an event manager. Just like type in like there's a website called theshadowlands.net created by Dave Giuliano. Dave is the director of South Jersey Ghost Research. He's a longtime friend and mentor to me. And he has a Shadowlands website where there's a bunch of lists of haunted locations in the state. And you can go to the shadowlands.net, which was one of the first paranormal websites, and it'll pull up a list of haunted locations near you. And then you can just contact that location and then see if they'll allow you to come and investigate it. And it's very, so just you have to go through management. And I say never trespass. We always schedule our investigations legally and the right way through like sending emails and making phone calls and stuff like that. And a lot of times, a lot of them let us get in for scot-free as long as we come back to do a lecture.
Right.
Hey, Josh.
Sorry.
Sorry, go. I just we had a listener question I wanted to pop up real quick. Sure. He says, I came from a Celtic background and my grandparents were firm believers in forerunners. Are you familiar with that subject, and what's your take?
Joseph,
I'm not familiar with obviously the Celtic background and the forerunners, but I think the forerunners is like something to do with like people who came before us and people like who helped like maybe like our background and stuff like that. But I'm not too familiar with, but I do love like Scotland and Ireland, and I actually have a lot of the Irish blood in me, but I'm not too familiar with the forerunners, obviously, but I might have to research that a little bit more later on.
So
go ahead.
We have in our house right now, right? We have a yellow cupboard that I swear is completely possessed, right? This is no joke. So if there's anyone in the chat, anyone watching this later on, if they had something in their house, they're not necessarily a ghost hunter. Just say you were in a place and you weren't ready for it. What piece of equipment do you think that people would regularly have on them or around them in their house that they could test for something that's more than just I heard a crack or a bang in the night? What's something we could do?
I would think the most important, the easiest piece of equipment that you can probably get in your own home, which is probably sometimes things you can make out of, like even dowsing rods, the thing that cross and go back and forth. You can basically buy a set of dowsing rods, probably on like any website like Amazon for literally, possibly like $15, $20. You can also make them out of coat hangers if you have those at home. Usually they find like earth and water minerals in the ground, but you can also use them for spirit activity, and they work great and they're highly effective. Another thing you can also get is a real cheap EMF meter. They sell EMF meters on like Amazon and eBay, and even like the Ghost Hunter store, theghosthunterstore.com, and ghoststop.com, which are one of our paranormal equipment suppliers. You can buy EMF meters as cheap as like $20, $30, K2 meters, and you can get EMF meters. So those are probably the most basic piece of equipment, like dowsing rods and also EMF meters. So those are really simple and they're great to use. And even like your standard voice recorders, like for EVPs, you can buy a $30 or $40 voice recorder right at Walmart, and you can use that and then just start recording and just see if there's anything that pops up after you and use a free program like Audacity to see if you get any spirit voices.
Cool. JD,
so you can do this on your iPhone, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I was going to ask that, Lee, because I'm like, I download an app, you know what I mean? Or because, I mean, it's an electromagnetic field detector. There's got to be an app for that. Is there stuff like that available?
Yes, but I, as a professional in the field, have been doing this for a long time. I recommend kind of shying away from apps because they can easily be compromised. I'd say getting the physical equipment is the best way to make sure that you get true responses, because the apps are sometimes can be kind of like sometimes it can kind of create a false reading or a false narrative. You're thinking that there's something there, there's not. But I just think a simple like $20 or $30 K2 meter that lights up with like from green to red. You can buy those like pretty cheap, and you can find them right on Amazon like for cheap. So just a standard like $20 to $30 EMF meter is the best way to go. Having the physical equipment makes the world of difference versus doing the apps.
We have a question in the chat, another question. This is from JD, and he wanted to know if you have ever studied jinn before.
Jinn. I have studied some aspects of jinn, and I do know that basically it's like basically, I think it's like a I think there's also like, it's basically about supernatural beings in Arabian religion. And I've actually studied a lot about it. It's actually like us, are humans that actually believe that, obviously are believers depending on, so basically jinn is like not evil or not good. Islam, of course, acknowledges spirits and all that, but jinn is not strictly Islamic. It is, obviously may represent several pagan beliefs that's integrated into Islam. And Islam's, of course, places jinn and humans on the same plane in relation to God, with a subject to the divine. So obviously, basically jinn, of course, the Quran condemns pre-Islamic Arabian practice of worshiping and protecting, but jinn, of course, has the beliefs of shape-shifting, which is means like, like people, so we can sometimes turn into snakes and lizards and humans, and also an interaction may be positive or negative, involving production of offspring and stuff like that. So it really is fascinating. And obviously individual jinn also appears in like charms and talismans, meaning like it can be used for protection or magical aid under the leadership of a kin. And also jinn can also people can also wear jinn amulets and protect themselves against witches and evil and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider jinn not so much a religious entity, more of like a cultural entity. You know what I mean? But we have another question for you. Let's see, what is this? What is the worst place that scared the hell out of you in your experience so far?
That was a good question. And I'm going to say always going back to the demonic cases. And basically going back to some of our past casework, there was this family in 2022 in November, before we investigated the lightship overfalls, that were having demonic activity in their home. And the family was so terrified. This was in Kirkwood, Pennsylvania, outside Quarryville in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And this family was like literally staying up in the apartment building. They were so terrified that their kids were seeing black masses and black shadows in the basement of this home. So they asked us to come investigate. Me, Rick, Warner and Melissa Ferrazzano, who are not here today. But the case was very terrifying because these families were terrified. So we went in, we had to bless ourselves before we went in. We pour holy water on ourselves, and literally some of the EVPs that were captured were absolutely terrifying. And basically, I remember being there that
I wish we could hear those.
night, and I can tell you from the experiences that we had, there was all kinds of things that happened. We were, for example, when we were starting the investigation, you can supposedly see I remember seeing the shadow trackers. These are like devices that light up and they point in the direction that they're moving. We remember the shadow trackers were going off at the same time a REM pod was going off, and in the corner we took a thermal imaging camera. A thermal imaging camera takes hot and cold pictures. So it's just like you just pull up that one photo that was called a thermal camera. That's used by auto mechanics, and it locates missing people in the wilderness. And that's a great example of a thermal image. And what it does is the cold signatures, you can see if it's a cold signature, it's most likely going to be a spirit entity. But if it's a heat signature, you're going to see that's most likely a living person. So you got to be very careful also with objects. But during the case, it got really crazy because basically what happened was, as the night progressed, we started running the SLS camera. And this is a camera called SLS structured light sensor. It's a camera that uses like the Xbox Kinect technology to draw stick figures on a screen, and it can pick up anything unseen to the naked eye. Against this solid wall, I'd never seen this before and never seen it after. On our digital dowsing SLS camera, we started getting these black oil spills, and you could see them. They could literally changing shape. Like, for example, we go from like a circle to like a human, and then like a human to like a four-legged creature. It was terrifying. It was something demonic there. And then not only was it doing that, but I remember watching Rick Warner. Like, Rick was just wanting to sit in the chair because he felt the energy was drained out of him. And I swear, I can swear upon this, and Rick was there. His EMF meter was spiking up. He had one of those A+1 EMF meter, has goes up to 2,000 milligauss, and literally the entire EMF meter was spiking up like crazy. And then not only was the EMF meter spiking up, but like literally you could see his eyes closed. You could see like something was like bearing down on his chest. And I had to say you have to say the Lord's Prayer. And thank gosh I did that, because the minute I said the Lord's Prayer, the EMF levels went way down. And then after saying the Lord's Prayer and the EMF meter is going way down, it was a major difference with everything. It was a lot of fun, and overall the best thing we did is we helped the family. So not only that, but we also picked up several EVPs that said, "I want you to go," and another one we got cursed out on our voice records that said "F you," and it was terrifying. But the good news is that after we did the investigation, we blessed the house. We went through, burned sage in every single area of the house. We also used, Native American tradition. We also poured holy water marked the doorways with a cross. Then this was holy water from Jerusalem. That's the kind of holy water that we use. But a lot of times we don't do demonic cases just because we're not experienced enough or prepared enough to handle them. A lot of times now I just let the experienced people like Dave Giuliano, who's basically teaches demonology courses. There's also our friend Bill Bean, who is an ordained minister, and Father Bob Bailey from Paranormal State. So we have people now that handle those cases for us. But in that case, we had to expedite it because no one was available in November of 2022, and we helped the family. And once the place was burned, and we burned sage and used smudge sticks, and also put holy water, it made a world of difference. And the whole the energy was gone, and the family was completely back to normal.
That's awesome. And sorry, not to cut anyone off. I just have two more quick questions from the chat. Okay.
Sure.
Is that okay, you guys?
No,
absolutely.
Okay. The first question was, where would you place entities like the Hat Man and shadow people in relation to other supernatural beings like ghosts?
Yes, that's a really good question. And I would say I would place them kind of all equal, because there's so many people that have experiences with all of them. Like, for example, my friend Heidi Hollis has studied the Hat Man, and it's a very interesting phenomena. And like basically the Hat Man is something that's been around for a long time. And it's basically widely regarded as a shadow person appearing as a tarred dog silhouette wearing a fedora or white brimmed hat. And usually witnesses often see them in the doorways of bedrooms or anything during sleep paralysis. And Of course, it's a menacing figure, but it's usually frequently interpreted as like a demon or ghost. And what was the other part of the question?
Where do you place them as entities? You already answered it, so that's
Yeah.
awesome. And I've got
Perfect.
2 more quick questions for you from the chat. Okay.
Sure.
This one I actually know the answer to, but I'm gonna let you answer it.
Sure.
Zach wanted to know, can a ghost stink or smell good?
Well, obviously that's a good question. A ghost stink or smell good? I would say it just like I said, obviously most likely I haven't had any experiences with smell like, but sometimes a lot of ghosts sometimes leave behind smells or residues. I know that, for example, when we investigated White Chimneys in November or December 2021, our sister's friend Jessica actually owns it. And a lot of times people report, like, I think they leave some certain sense. Like sometimes you might smell like candles, you might smell beer or alcohol. But I've never in my 30 investigations that I've done, and a dozen more that I've done before then, like 40 investigations, I've never had any kind of like smells or like farts or anything like that. But I have picked up like smells that are
fart. That sounds weird.
Basically I have picked up spirits that have left behind like certain smells, like candle smells, fragrance, sometimes perfume smells of like women's spirits. Perfume. And for example, when everyone goes out to the Hotel Roosevelt out in California, people sometimes pick up the smell of a lady scent, a perfume, and they see a blonde haired woman in the mirror, and people report and they see this blonde haired woman also out in a pool area, and then she disappears, and it's supposedly that blonde haired woman is people interpret as Marilyn Monroe. Her spirit's been seen all over that hotel basically over the last like 60 years since she passed away, and people still loved her in life. Why wouldn't they love her in death? So that's a great example of a spirit. They could sense her perfume smells out in California, out there, and she's still loved by
in that hotel. Like I went up and got given a tour of that place. One of the guys was friendly enough to do that, and I saw the it wasn't a room; it was like a balcony or whatever where she passed. Yeah. But they say that the actual hall of that Hotel Roosevelt or Roosevelt Hotel was where they used to hold the Grammys. So when we got taken in there and he let us stand on the stage. So this is like old Hollywood. Like this is like the 20s, right? So when shit probably meant something. It's the most eeriest feeling in the world to stand in a complete empty hall that held all these events with all these old Hollywood people that are all died, some of them that died in the hotel. And just to stand there in the middle of the day is absolute like earth shaking. It is amazing feeling.
And the Knickerbocker, actually, I like to talk about that. In the Knickerbocker Hotel, back in the 1920s, Mrs. Houdini, who actually was Harry Houdini's wife, tried communicating with basically Harry Houdini. Her name was Bess, and she had the wedding band name of her name written into her wedding band. And supposedly, Bess Houdini used to try communicating with the greatest magician that ever lived back in the day, and they would do seances on top of the Knickerbocker Hotel back in the 20s and 30s. And supposedly, before Miss Houdini passed away in like the 1930s, she said she received one word of the code that her and Harry had a pact that he would communicate with her from beyond the grave. So that did happen, and she did receive one word.
That is true. Harry Houdini is actually my third cousin by marriage, so I've heard that story before. And Shred, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
I mean, seriously, yesterday morning, my wife does not wear perfume. Okay, she smells great. Naturally, she uses soap when she showers. My daughter wears perfume. However, her bathroom's on the other side, and she had been sleeping for hours. I woke up the other morning. I wasn't even barely awake. I woke up because I smelled this, and I went, oh, there's perfume. Oh my God, it's kind of like grandma's, and then I just didn't really... kind of went back to bed, kind of smelled it, kept smelling it, and then it just gone. And like, I remember I woke up and I looked over at my wife and I'm like, hey, you didn't like go spray something in the bath? And she's like, I've been sleeping, dude. You were up before me, and then I was like, let me smell your hair. So I smelled her hair and I'm like, that's not it. And I'm like, let me smell your arm. That's not it. Let me smell your neck. That's not it. And I'm like, oh, and then I went, my daughter's, all the lights are out, completely asleep. And I'm like, and Megan, when Megan came on, she told me she's here. She's watching me. She might be here now. I'm raised up right now. I'm all because Megan told me she's watching me, and we were very very close.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people smelling perfume, smelling flowers. I have one friend that whenever she knows a certain family member is around, she smells limes for some reason. I've also heard that if there's something evil or demonic around, people smell like sulfur. That's why you burn like asafoetida to try to get rid of it. Like rotten eggs and things like that. So there's definitely smells associated just from what I've heard. And my goodness, while you were talking, there are so many questions. You guys, I know you guys have a lot of questions, but I've got to read these questions to him.
Well, let me pile onto that because my father's been dead for 10, 12 years, right? And all I've got left is his ashes in a box, which don't smell like shit, by the way. They just don't smell. But I have his old glasses. Now, glasses, these things are like, we know what glasses are. They're metal and they're glass, right? That sometimes when I open that box, that just has his glasses in it, they're not porous. I can get the smell of the Old Spice, which he used to have, which is amazing to me. Now, I don't get that all the time, and I've moved him 100 times, but every so often I'll smell the Old Spice.
I'll tell you what.
Which he used to
I'll tell you guys what. If you guys want, I can go another hour. Like if there's a lot of questions in chat,
there's a lot of questions.
Let's go. Yeah, we ain't got started yet, man. We ain't got into.
We haven't even got started.
The crazy shit.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we'd love it if you could stay.
All right, whoever's waiting for you to take a hike, we got some questions for you.
Yeah, hold on. Josh, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of I'm going to give you these questions. Just give me like a 1 or 2 sentence answer because there's a ton. And then I'm going to let them ask you some questions, okay? Because people have just been like putting question after question. And I haven't been able to give them to you, and I don't want anyone to get missed, okay? So let's see. One question. Do you know about the Lesser Keys of Solomon or the Ars Goetia?
Not offhand, no.
Yeah, I do. I was wondering if you did.
Nope.
No? Okay. Check it out. It is some crazy esoteric stuff, I'll tell you what. All right, next one. A former colleague of Ralph Sarchi, a former NYPD sergeant assigned to the 46th Precinct in the South Bronx, investigated paranormal cases. Any other people you know who would not be a typical investigator?
Yes, we actually have one on our team, and actually he's not a typical investigator because they call him the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer. I'd love to get him for your show. His name's Mark Anthony. He's an Oxford educated attorney. He's also a 4th generation psychic medium, and also he's from a graduate at Arthur Findlay College, physical science and English. He goes to spiritual locations and also regularly on television and Gaia TV and Coast to Coast AM George Norrie. But he's a fantastic guy, and he's actually solved a high-profile criminal case using his psychic cases. He's actually been hired by law enforcement agencies to actually use some of his intuitive abilities to solve crimes that have never been resolved before. And I would love to get him for your show in the future.
Yeah, that would be awesome. All right, let's see.
Yeah, thank you in advance, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, now this next one is, are there any particular entities people believe in that you're convinced are made up or bogus?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, there are obviously things out there that people like, for example, made up or bogus. Here's a great example of something that's made up or bogus is a lot of people when they think that they take a ghost photo and they go and take a picture and all of a sudden they see a bunch of like, oh, I caught this orb or this thing is made up. Well, obviously, a lot of it's called pareidolia. It's basically your mind playing tricks on you.
Creates something you recognize.
Exactly. So a lot of times it's like dust and bugs and stuff like that. So pareidolia is a great example of something that could be bogus because a lot of times you're thinking it's what you see is like the apparition of a spirit if you're like taking pictures in your attic, but what you're really getting is just dust particles and stuff like that. Pareidolia. Another thing that could also be made up is when people think that they see full body apparitions, or obviously I think they're waterfalls that turns on, and all of a sudden, like for example, watching the ghost hunters. That's why I love watching. I always love going back to the OGs because the Atlantic Paranormal. So a lot of times that they would think that a person would turn on a faucet on by itself. Basically, you might be able to debunk it by saying, hey, it could be a pipe that busted. It could be something like maybe like just needs to be adjusted in the pipe that's causing a false hallucination. Something else that can also be bogus is also high electromagnetic fields, where electromagnetic fields are like appliances and stuff like that. They're creating like we're thinking that they're seeing a ghost when all they're really experiencing is like a microwave letting off high EMF and they're seeing things.
Yeah,
Fair.
good
There you
answer.
go.
Yeah, totally.
And just
Great
in,
answer.
in relation to the smell thing, Megan, who we were telling you about earlier, that does the tarot cards and stuff,
Yes.
and she's really in tune with a lot of like the metaphysical kind of thing. She said that sometimes when she connects with people that have recently passed, she smells lilies. So, like, there's definitely like smells associated sometimes. And then this one's a really important question. Hold on, let me find it. Great questions. Sorry, give me 1 second. Oh, wait, I know where it is. Okay.
Fucking Aaron.
So this is a good question. He says because everyone's been asking such good questions, and I yelled at the chat and I was like, don't ask any stupid questions. He said he has to get a stupid question out of the way. He said, can I get a stupid question out of the way,
I love
please?
it. I
And he
just thought
said,
about Beetlejuice as soon as I saw it. That's all,
yeah.
Aaron.
And he said,
And I love it.
well, this is Northstorm says, can I get the stupid question out of the way, please? What are Wednesday's Powerball numbers, Josh? What are Wednesday's Powerball numbers? Help us out. Help us out.
Yeah,
Obviously,
hold on.
well,
Yeah,
I wish I could obviously guess. I wish I could basically say for like I'm just gonna make some up off the top of my head. I'm not really.
I'm
He's
writing
just
them down
kidding.
anyway.
He's just kidding. Okay, I've got another one.
I'm just gonna guess a few. Okay.
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
would love
Go
if
ahead.
they were right. It would
play
be
along.
amazing. People, write this down and let's all play
Seriously,
them. And
write it down. Let's see
has
if
the
Josh
power.
is
All right,
psychic.
come on, Josh.
Yeah,
Josh,
I'm writing
Come on,
it
let's
down.
go, Josh. Josh.
Wait a minute. Can we blow Josh up? Can we blow Josh up?
Oh yeah, hold on, Josh.
And let's write this down and we're gonna
Let
play
me
it.
blow you up, dude. Hold up.
I don't know if
Here he is.
I don't know if I'm a psychic like my team member Melissa.
No, you're a psychic because we told you you were.
All right.
So let's go.
You got it.
All right, I'm gonna throw a few numbers out and just see what happens. I'm gonna say 8, 37, 42, 25, and 35. I don't know. I'm just throwing some random numbers out there.
Very
I
cool.
love those numbers. I wrote them down. They're written
Look,
down.
I say we get a ticket, and when's it getting drawn? Wednesday. We'll see how legitimate these spirits are if they want us to get.
Wait, Josh, how cool would it be if you found out that not only are you a really good paranormal investigator, but you actually have a touch of psychic? How cool would that be? That would be awesome.
It would suck for us though because he has a lawyer friend.
I will say
we'd have to cut him in for sure.
I also say I have taken beginning mediumship classes with Cindy Kaza from the show The Holzer Files, which is where they reinvestigate Hans Holzer with Dave Strader and Shane Pittman. And I have taken some entry-level mediumship classes. And Cindy actually does mediumship classes at all levels from beginner to advanced mediumship. She's really, really good. And I think if you just look her up on like social media on Facebook, like cindykaza.com, she will offer students the chance to, Zoom classes and stuff like that. And she'll do like breakout groups where she pulls people in to like develop their intuitive ability.
Oh, so cool.
I highly recommend Cindy's classes because they're really great. And she's one of the best. Yeah. She actually studied under world-renowned medium James von Prague.
Awesome. All right, I've got I think 3 more real quick, and then I'll wait. I'm sorry. The people are curious.
I'm gonna take a break. You guys go.
Shut up. Listen. Okay.
Sit there and look pretty, Lee.
Do you think it's possible to bring an entity home from vintage clothes from someone who's passed or that were given to you?
That's a really good question, and I'm gonna say yes. Like a lot of times, like just like haunted dolls and haunted objects that are known to be like, for example, like Robert the doll down in Florida, and also Annabelle. I think it's very possible that spirits can be attached to all kinds of objects, based on like what were the clothes worn in? Were they worn in a ritual? Were they worn like just regularly by a regular person that had tragically died, and all of a sudden their energy's attached to that? So I'm going to say yes. If the law of energy states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but move from one form to another, why wouldn't there be like if the clothes of someone died could have some kind of personal attachment to them? And if spirits can also inhabit dolls and stuff like that, like Annabelle and Robert the doll, why wouldn't they be able to go on or clothes if they can just move, if energy can move from form to form at will?
I agree with you because a lot of times clairvoyants will say, can you give me a ring that the person used to wear, or a shirt that this person used to wear to help them connect with their energy? So I totally agree with that. And I've got one more and then it's up now. Then it's to the boys. So this is one more from the chat, and then I'll save the rest. Question.
I'm over here clomping away.
I know. Sorry, guys.
Question.
Do you think ghosts, UFOs, and other supernatural phenomenon might all have a common spiritual source, like John Keel and Jacques Vallée theorize?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That is a really good question. And I'm going to say yes, because I know Jacques Vallée actually created the classification system for UFOs. And there's like certain levels. I know this would be a Rick Warner question. He's not here today because he runs his own UFO organization. But I'm going to say yes. Like, I believe Bigfoot and ghosts and UFOs all can have some kind of spiritual connection. And there's Rick right there. Thank you for pulling that up. He's the UFO guy, but the classification system that Vallée had is like based on like certain levels of investigation. And there's like, based on those levels, I'm going to say yes, that they're all interconnected. And Bigfoot and can also be known as time shift. Ghosts can be captured by haunting places. And of course, UFOs can appear out of nowhere. And I actually had the opportunity to witness a UFO summoner almost, this guy named Robert Vanderbroek from Sweden. He was good friends with my old boss, Dr. J, who was Art Bell's producer. And I remember watching Robert basically do like things over in Sweden. And like you could see literally like he would be like a crop circle would appear out of nowhere just when he would just walk right by it, and like literally like would leave the area for like 10 minutes, all of a sudden there was a crop circle. So I'm going to say yes, these things all have like positive correlation. They all can be interconnected based on the situation and the circumstances.
I agree. I'm going to let these guys ask some questions. You guys in the chat, keep asking questions. I'm actually saving them as we go, and then we'll come back. I'll come back to the chat. So you guys go. And then, Josh, I'm going to bank up all the questions from the chat, okay, after you are done talking to these two handsome gentlemen.
Go ahead, Lee. I know you've sat out the longest. Go ahead, buddy.
I want to hear Megan's question, but this is one that you're going to think is stupid, and I'm trying to poke fun, but I'm not. So there was a night that I took more edibles than what I probably should have, what I was used to. Right now, they were the corner store ones, so the white trash ones. But I went to bed. I wasn't feeling well, as you would imagine, and I had a conversation, a very in-depth conversation with someone that was sitting on my bed, and I actually thought at the time it was Miss A, and it wasn't until I was like, I said, she told me that she was going back downstairs, or she was going out to go back to watch TV. And I was like, all right, I'll see you later. I go to sleep. A few minutes later, Miss A walks in, jumps into bed. And I thought you were going to go watch TV. And she goes, what are you talking about? I was coming to bed. So I had a very lucid conversation with something, and I thought it was Miss A. Now, Miss A is still alive. So is that something where, okay, I'm just way high?
Hello.
Right there. Hey, she's right
it's
there.
Me.
So is it something where I was just like high, my brain's playing tricks? Or do you believe in something like I've maybe actually spoken? Like when you hear a story like that, are you thinking, well, you're just a stupid prick who took too many edibles?
Well, obviously there's 4 classifications of hauntings. Obviously I'll go through these right now so you guys know. There is a residual haunting, which I think is basically a great example of like a residual haunting is basically like a place memory. It's something that's embedded in the environment. And think of like the Battle of Gettysburg, and what you experience is probably something that's like a residual haunting, meaning that something that is like a tape recorder that plays itself over and over again. Like you had a place memory of something of Miss A being right next to you. That's something, or maybe there was a past event where you're near her, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like you're experiencing that all over again. Like much like the Battle of Gettysburg, when 50,000 people lost their lives in the battle in 3 days. So there's energy there that's still basically that's still trapped there because it's like a past event. So that situation to me, it sounds like a residual haunting. It's like a tape recorder just playing itself in the like loop and loop all over again, and you're experiencing that all over again, which I think makes sense. There's also an intelligent haunting, which is a type of haunting where a spirit can directly interact with you. They can move something. They can show up obviously, and maybe like ectoplasm, or they show up like it's a partial body apparition, or as a light, or they communicate like basically through white noise, like in a spirit box. That's an intelligent haunting, or it can move something. There's also basically not only intelligent haunting, there's also a demonic haunting, which I talked about before, which is a negative entity that preys on the living. There's also a poltergeist, which is a great example. This is up in Bothell, Washington. My friend Keith Linder had this experience of this house where levitating plants and moving plants going up and down. That's a great example of a poltergeist, and I think he would be a freaking awesome guest for your show because Keith had a lot of experience in this Bothell Hell House, and I booked him from my old boss Heather Wade, Art Bell's former protege, in like 2018. So there's a lot of experiences that people have all over, and that's a great example of that residual haunting. There's 4 classifications: intelligent, demonic, poltergeist, and residual. So I think what you're
I could go back to that. I could go back to that room and I could experience that again.
Mm-hmm.
You think?
Yes. Yep.
Also, what on top of that, where we lived at that time, it's only a block from where we are right now, and we found out through like old like borough maps and stuff like that, where you can look at the town, how it looked like, when it was created. This entire 3 blocks this way and 4 blocks that way was all a graveyard. So that house and this house, much like Poltergeist, are sitting on top of an old graveyard, and we actually found a gravestone in the backyard of the house that we were at from the 1800s. So that house had like a lot of weird things going on. I know the guy's grandparent or grandmother had passed away in that house, and here in this house, we have a lot of weird stuff going on. And again, this house is built over top of a graveyard from like I think they 1918 or 1920 is when they developed this area into actual houses over it. So
a lot of times you're going to have activity. A lot of times if you have like burial mounds and like stuff like Native American burial mounds, you're going to get a lot of people seeing like hearing Indian chants and like headdresses, and people like seeing Indian spirits. And I remember watching an episode of the Holzer Files when Dave Schrader was investigating this house up in New Jersey. I think it's called the Allen Ayers house up in northern New Jersey.
Oh yeah, I know. I've
heard
of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Holzer had investigated there back in like the 50s and 60s with I think it was Sybil Leak, and I know Sybil's son Julian, who's like the authority on her life. He's still alive in his 70s. But Sybil and Hans went there, and supposedly started picking up like basically seeing like the shape of a head basically sticking itself through the curtain on the Holzer Files. You can watch that, and also seeing like marbles that were moving by themselves. And here's a question that says, I remember Heather Wade, she took over for Art. Yes. Yes. Heather actually sadly has mental issues. She's no longer doing talk radio, but she's now retired, and Art Bell's family is doing well, and I talk to them on a daily basis. So obviously I hope someday she gets back on the air, but right now she's unavailable at this time. But I wish her all the best in her plans. And sadly, because Art had passed away, she had a mental breakdown there for a while. But I hope that eventually she gets back on the air. But yeah, so
I'm sorry to hear that.
So a lot of times with the experiences with people that have with Native American burial mounds and stuff like that. So those are great examples of the Allen Ayers house, of people like marbles being moved, and like supposedly people seeing Indians that hang themselves, so a lot of times burial mounds and stuff like that can really impact hauntings, especially if the land itself is known to be haunted, the house is going to be haunted. Yeah,
these aren't Indian burial mounds though. This was like an actual graveyard. Like I said, we found a marble grave in the ground, a gravestone in the ground outside, and it was to a Michael someone, and it was what was the date, babe? It was like 1880. Right? Yeah, it was like 1881 to 1881 or 82. Like it was like he was like a year old, and it's still in the backyard. Like I'll have to send you guys.
I've tried to dig it up a million times, but the guy won't let me complete the job.
He's so scared to dig out the gravestone because he doesn't want to disturb it, But what we think is like they probably did what they did in Poltergeist and moved the gravestones, but didn't move a lot of the bodies, because that wasn't something that they legally had to do until the 60s. And this whole place was developed in the 20s. So they probably didn't move a lot of the bodies. And we have a lot of weird stuff going on in our house and my friend's house that lives a block away. And we all have really weird stuff happen around here. You should come check out this area sometime. It's
absolutely. And where are you guys at? Where are you guys located at in Jersey?
I'll tell you off air.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And I will say, like I said, we have a website, and like I said, we have a case request form. Just go on there and fill out the form. And our case manager, Melissa Ferrazano, who's not here today, she gets all the cases through the website. So she handles all the correspondence. So just fill out the form, and we'll help you out.
Oh, it's crazy here. I mean, I have Palo Santo'd, I have saged, I put smoky quartz, I put all kinds of stuff everywhere. I did black salt, I did white salt. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
And there's Lee in the back trying to dig that
land
motherfucker.
the trades and all that. Like, most likely what happened was it wasn't you guys, but the previous owners, whoever built the house, like when they built the house on top of the graveyard, most likely disturbed and caused the activity to stir up. And what they say is, especially the spirit world, is anytime that you do renovations to a house or do a house project, most likely it's going to stir up the activity, because that wasn't like recently, but it was done whenever the house was built on the property.
That's what we've been doing. We've been doing renovations, but I'll tell you, one time I was sitting here on the couch, right? So I have a basement right downstairs, and Lee was on the second floor. So he was sleeping because that's where our bedroom is. And I'm on the first floor. I'm sitting on the couch with my little cat, and we're sitting here, and it's like, I don't know, like 2 a.m, and I'm like still awake or whatever. And my cat's ears just went flat, and then his eyes went giant. And I was like, what are you doing? And then I heard footsteps, except the footsteps were under my feet, meaning someone was walking on the ceiling in the basement. And I was like, and I just went like that, and my cat just took off, ran up the stairs, and I just looked around and I was like, oh hell no. I just went upstairs. I was like, I'm not dealing with this tonight. It is 2 a.m. I just felt footsteps under my feet.
Oh, hell
nope,
no.
I'm gone. I was out.
She gone.
Talk about footsteps.
Like the letter.
Screw that.
You were Tuesday is Gone with the Wind. It's the Larry Skinner song, right?
Yeah,
there was
right,
smoke
Josh,
behind me like a cartoon character. It was like, I was gone. Yeah. No, thank you.
Next, ready.
Okay,
ahead,
listen,
Fred.
I want to talk. I have some photos of some stuff, Josh, and I want to show you that a good friend of mine I've known my entire life. Can we show the picture of the building? We talked about this backstage before. This is a pretty famous West Coast in Nevada, Virginia City specifically, the old Washoe Club. Okay, my best friend in the world, his son Justin, has stayed here like 6 times. I wasn't able to get new photos that he currently has because he's gotten more. This is a notorious paranormal place. Lot of there's some nice ghost activity, and there's some sort of mischievous ghost activity there, and there's some evil ghost activity there. We have a couple of pictures, Josh, that these are from a long time ago, and Justin has stayed overnight there. We have a picture of an orb.
You want to do the orb first? There you go.
There it is right there. Now that it looked like everyone thinks, oh, that's like the guide, because that is the guide in there, right? And they're like, oh,
it's right. Just so I can explain where it is, Josh. If you look on the woman in the background, if you see the one that is like the tour guide, I guess, right on her chest is like a green dot, and she didn't have a flashlight or anything. Nobody saw that light that was standing there.
That I would like to call that like an anomaly, meaning like something that's not supposed to be there is there. You know what I mean? It's like something that's like not. I've never seen like that before, especially at the old Washoe Club. And I know that the Washoe Club is like a 3-story brick story in Nevada City, and actually it's located in the Virginia City Historic District. And the first story is actually occupied by commercial stories, but the upper stories are usually unoccupied, and it's actually made of reinforced masonry, and actually has also it's been only the building can be accessed through the main entrance on C Street, and I know it was featured on Ghost Hunters as well. So I'm going to say, based on my experience of seeing that's like an anomaly. It's something that's not supposed to be there is there, and I've never seen like just a little light color like that, like just right on somebody's neck. That's definitely something that shouldn't be there. I'm going to say that's definitely spirit activity.
Okay, and Justin, his son is very in tune with it as well. We do have a couple of other pictures here. Well, it's one picture, but where you can see it, and then we've also highlighted where it's at.
I got it. Okay.
So
So
Wow,
that's
it
the
looks like
original picture.
that is definitely something strange because I know, basically, like a lot of times, I've seen like similar apparitions in a place called the Bucksville House in Kintersville, PA, up in the attic area where the lady named Barb Schlozy had like these strange like light patterns coming up, basically up in the attic area, and I definitely think that this is like a partial body apparition, maybe like changing shape or maybe like shape shifting, kind of like
Yeah.
Mhm.
in the moving
Look,
from like
do you
one
see
form.
the face right there?
Oh yeah, definitely.
See,
Do you see it?
there it
So
is.
I take that off, and
I'm
then you
I'm
see the
getting
face.
chills right now, you guys. I'm literally because this is my everyone like Paul and I are best friends. This guy I've known this kid's dad for a gazillion years. I'm 46. I've known him for 40 years. You know what I mean? And his kid still goes there. That Virginia City as a whole is a very haunted little town on this hillside in Nevada up there. It's a really cool spot. And yeah, I mean, yeah. So Josh, I mean, what? So that you think? So you're backing that up, right?
Yep,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
All
My
right.
buddy's gonna be so excited, dude.
Yeah.
If I can, I'll send Lisa when I get some more photos from his son. I'll gladly send them to you, dude, and hopefully you can help. Because his
Oh
kid's
yeah,
super into it. I mean, we're all into it. So thank you,
awesome.
Jimmy Waugh, up there in Reno, Nevada, and
Awesome.
Justin Waugh, just graduating this year, young graduate. Congratulations, you young man. Thank you for submitting those photos.
All right, so now I've got a couple chatter questions, okay? And you can answer
Fire away.
these real quick. So I'll just give you a question and then just give me like a quick answer because there's a bunch. Okay. Here's one. I have a question. Has there been a place that you've refused to do it? Meaning like has there been a place you've gotten there and you're like, "Hell no, we're not doing this."
Absolutely. I'm gonna say, I actually had the opportunity one time to investigate uh, Eastern State Penitentiary back in like 2018, 2017, and after seeing the experiences of what ghost hunters had, basically there, when the cell doors flew open by themselves, and I've known those guys from the Atlantic Paranormal Society for a number of years. I know Dustin Perry. I talk to him regularly. Based on the experience that the ghost hunters had there, and other teams that have seen cell doors fly open and shadows being in this penitentiary, I'm gonna say I'm out. No, no schmo. Basically, I'm good. The penitentiary is just too terrifying. So for me, I'm gonna say not interested.
Got you. Good answer. All right, let's see. The next one is, what do you think of the Bigfoot UFO theories?
Ooh, nice,
The
Necron.
Bigfoot UFO theory. That is a really, really good question, and I think there's a lot of positive correlation between the Bigfoot and the UFO theories, because there's a lot of them out there, and it's basically when you merge like folklore and cryptid folklore with ufology, and meaning like that the Sasquatch is not just a rare biological animal, but it's an other outwardly paranormal entity, and it also explains why evidence remains scarce by linking the creature to advanced technology or alternate dimensions. And a lot of times, proponents also argue Sasquatch is a biological resident or a zookeeper deployed by like off-world civilizations to monitor Earth's ecosystem. So, there's definitely a positive correlation between both. And because also there's also something called the interdimensional hypothesis, which means that the most
Oh, I've
popular
heard of that.
idea. Yep, the theory that Bigfoot exists in outside or standard 3D space time, where people could live in parallel alternate realities or spiritual realms.
Like exist at the same time but in a parallel realm. Yep. Go
I
ahead, bud.
know real quick. I know a guy in a family. It was my stepdad Eric's uncle. We lived up in the Sierra Nevada mountains, tiny little town. He was crossing this little valley up past Sierra Valley, and in the middle of the night, he swore he saw a Bigfoot cross the road. And these are people that lived up their entire lives. They've seen bears, they've seen all the creatures you're gonna see that live there. You know what I mean? Mountain lions, all this. And he was like, he swore to us that, I mean, I believed him, and then it's that rural up there too, and I believe, and they can just, he was like, he was there and it was gone. You know what I mean? And he goes, it was 8 foot tall. And he was driving this big, giant. He was a guy in a wheelchair, paraplegic guy, big, heavy duty like van. He was, had the hand controls in the front. I mean, this is a guy that I really trusted. And he was like, with absolute authority, was telling us these stories. And we were like, yes, yeah, no, I feel it. And so every time we drove, even now, if I ever go across that little slope down to that valley, I'm like, especially at night, I'm like, all right, guys, any moment now, this could be a little portal area. You know what I mean? Anyways, go ahead, Josh, or whoever was next. I apologize.
All right, next we have, what do you think of the Eric von Daniken Chariot of the Gods? Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, heck yes. In fact,
Zach.
here's something funny. Actually, I bet you guys didn't know this. My friend Dr. J, the Dr. J Radio Live show, who is Art Bell's former producer, actually was friends with Eric von Daniken. He knew him very well, and he wrote a book. He was actually a Swiss author. He lived from 1935 to January 10th of 2026. He offered several pseudo-scientific books about extraterrestrial influences, and Chariots of the Gods, that was published in 1968 by von Daniken, was actually the inspiration for Ancient Aliens on History Channel. It was actually involving the hypothesis that the technologies and religions of many ancient civilizations were given to them by ancient astronauts who were welcomed as gods. And I know that von Daniken had written the book, for a long time, and he also, that Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge and the Hawaii of Eastern Islands, are all positively correlated. And he also wrote in the book about how ancient artwork can be interpreted as depicting astronauts, air and space vehicles, and extraterrestrials as complex technology. And he also believed that some of these are actually in unrelated cultures as well. So he was a really fascinating man, and also suggesting that basically the old interpretations of the Old Testament of the Bible are in contact with the alien race.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what was that movie? One of the aliens, was it Prometheus? Is that kind of the same story? There was like those what were they? They were like the architects or whatever. And is that kind of like Chariot of the Gods or no?
Yeah,
was that
I believe so.
Yeah?
And I know Ancient Aliens, like Giorgio Tsoukalos, Kevin Burns,
yes,
when he created Ancient Aliens back in like 2009, 2010, I believe he took a lot of inspiration from Chariots of the Gods, and von Daniken became a regular on that show. He was 90, so he was up there in years. And I know that my old boss, Dr. J, was like pretty much the last person to ever interview him. And I'd be more than happy to get Dr. J on your show. No problem. If you guys want to talk to him about Eric von Daniken or whatever, he's chill.
Josh, thank you in advance once again, man. I mean, you're speaking my language. Ancient Aliens is one of these shows, dude. And we can ask my wife. She's like, I still to this day, I'm like, I'm trying to go to bed. She's like, we're going to bed. I'm like, I'm just gonna put Ancient Aliens on. And
one of my favorite,
go to sleep. Yes,
one of my
love
favorite
that show.
Crop circle and cattle mutilations researchers, Linda Moulton Howell. She's a world-renowned expert in crop circle cattle mutilations. She's a long time. I actually talk to her regularly. And she's on that show all the time. And Linda's like a legend because she's been doing it. I remember watching her in 1993 on the NBC program, The Other Side. And she was always amazing.
Dude, I'm sorry. Got a little excited there. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yes.
Shred gets excited. Shred gets excited.
I love this show. Aliens, all this stuff. Like I've seen. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt the show again. Good. Continue to say. Is there more fan questions?
Oh my God, there's a ton more. I'm gonna ask one more because it's a long one, and then I'm gonna let you guys take back over, and then I'll ask all the other questions. I have about.
Fair.
I'm gonna ask this one, and then there's like 6 more. They just keep piling in, so I'll do 4 at a time, then let you guys go, and then I'll do 4 more just so that we can get through them because people have a lot of really good questions. Okay, so this is from JD. So he says that he's not a fan of this world, and he's looking forward to like when he crosses over. Why would any ghost care about the empty carcasses left behind? I imagine I'd be completely disinterested and fully engulfed in the total and utter freedom, and that's why I think all ghosts are demons or the unseen.
That's a really good point. And I'm going to say basically ghosts might care about the carcasses left behind because they have a material basically attachment, meaning like sometimes that they're attached to the physical world because of a strong connection to their prized possessions. They also might have unfinished business that were tied into like unresolved matters or some kind of traumatic event that's keeping them around. Basically, so that's a really good question. And also, I'm going to say, based on that, also they also might be sticking around because basically they have unfinished business, something that happened to them. So if their body is like, maybe they want to just move on and just kind of, it's about like basically the object attachment and like folklore and of course a tragic passing and stuff like that, and a connection to the living. They might also have the carcasses around because they want to frequently hang around or to look after or manipulate the loved ones that they left behind. Like if friends or family can gather, spirits can also haunt cars or graveyards and stuff like that because of the attention or the emotional weight of a person that placed on that item or that piece of clothing before death.
Okay, cool. All right, now you guys go. Oops, over here.
No, I'll let Lee go. I interjected there a few times.
I want to hear Megan's question because Megan doesn't ask dumb questions, and
No,
all I've got is like,
Megan,
hey, what do you think of? So
Megan, did I miss a question?
No,
from Megan?
I have one that she sent in.
No.
She
okay.
sent in one.
She told about this one, so you know it's going to be good.
Yeah, he kind of answered it a little bit, but I will ask it here. So Josh, a very, very good friend of ours, Megan, who did the tarot card reading for us, she's got some ability to clairvoyance. She wanted to ask, what is your opinion on demonic energy, and have you ever encountered it on an investigation? Which, go ahead, sir. I think you kind of said it before, but please pontificate if you would.
Sure. So a demonic possession is basically, as we defined as a concept, is rooted in religious and mythological traditions. It's basically where a supernatural or malevolent spirit controls a person's body or mind, or you can also say a negative entity that preys on the living by attaching itself or possessing that person. And a lot of times there is basically in a lot of faiths and stuff like that, basically a negative entity is reviewed as like a fallen angel, as part of Lucifer and connected to Lucifer, the devil, and stuff like that. So a lot of the culture aspect of negative entities goes back thousands of years, even before the advancement of modern medicine. And today, even back to the times of Christ, supposedly there's stories of Satan supposedly trying to push Christ for 40 days and 40 nights. So it's basically negative entities are those who prey on the living. That's that can control a person and manipulate them. And sometimes you need to have like a priest, like such as Reverend Bob Larson, who I know for a number of years. He's done tons of demonic cases. So a negative entity is something that can attach itself to the living and prey on them.
Wow. Really incredible answer. And great question, Megan. And so there you go. Yeah, that was Megan's question right there.
Awesome.
And go ahead, Lee. Do you have any questions here?
Kind of. So
I have a few more written
my
down.
understanding, like, what does it do to like someone like yourself, Josh? All right, or someone like one of your mentors, or many people that you've spoken about. If you spend your life investigating, experiencing, and witnessing all these things that happen, what type of mental toll does that take? Do you look at things completely different?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it really takes a big time toll on you because it really depends on the history of the place and what happened at the energy. Like if something tragedy like a death happened there, for example, I'll give a great example. Like it takes a big time physical toll on you, and we've been literally knocked down on cases where literally, for example, last year we went to the Plank House, which is in Delco, Pennsylvania, and this place actually has connections to Blackbeard the pirate. And mind you, the actual Marcus Hook, Pennsylvania was known to be a shipping port that Blackbeard was known to obviously occupy in order to keep a low profile when he would trade and drop some plunder. And I actually have some amazing evidence captured from that investigation where literally we actually picked up an actual apparition of Blackbeard itself. And literally it's right on our website, fandetectives.org. I'll try to see if I can show this on my smartphone. But what happened was we were investigating there with one of Katrina Weidman's friend. Basically his name was Dean McKenna. And literally on this apparition, let me try to see if I can pull these up here really quick. We actually captured Blackbeard's spirit, and we were doing a spirit box session. Let me try to see if I can pull this up here. Let's see if this will work.
Hold up, let me blow you up here.
Sure. There it is. And then you can see, really kind of see that, but it might be hard to see, but you can do that on the website. You can see, look at that right there. See that? Look at that shape. Boom. We might have captured Blackbeard's spirit right there. See that?
Oh, wow.
It's kind of hard
I
to
do
see,
see that.
but you can see it right on our website. And here's the other one. Let's see, I can pull that up there. It's kind of hard to see a little bit. Let me try to see if I can get it. But,
push it closer to the camera.
Okay, it might not work too good, but okay, there we go. It's all right.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway,
it's elusive.
We had it. We had it.
There it is.
Oh, there you go. You can see it.
All right, wait, don't move. I'll get you up
Don't
there.
move.
There it is.
So explain that. What is that?
That is actually, we actually pictured it. This was taken by Michael Menersha while we were doing a spirit box session. And Mr. Menersha obviously was we were wiring our psychic medium, Melissa Ferrazano, up with, ghost box, a headset and microphone. Because we did our own version of the Estes method. And he just snapped some photos. And literally when we were doing that session, I literally got the wind knocked right out of me. So that's like a good example of energy pushing itself. And Blackbeard Spirit, like we made the Delco Times, the front page of the Delco Times last August, and literally not only did we make the front page, but basically people supposedly report going to the Plank House are afraid to stay there at night. So that's telling you something when literally the place has connections to Blackbeard the Pirate, and there's like negative energy there that's kind of bearing down on you. That's a great example of that.
Wow.
But what about say you finished a case, right? You go home, you're relaxing. Okay. I mean, what am I trying to say? Is it something where you look at things like, say, something stupid, like the energy bill or something that's very much the living's issue, right? So whatever day-to-day issues that you may have, now that you would look at something, yesterday that might have been a spirit that has lived this life, has moved on, but is still present. What does that change in you living your normal everyday life? Does that somehow mess with your, how
definitely.
you deal with? Yeah. So
absolutely. I'm going to say a lot of times I have to kind of shift focus because it's so hard because spirits can attach themselves to you and can manipulate you. And you have to be very careful. So we come in with let's talk about this a little bit, like the paranormal television approach and the right approach. The paranormal, television approach is because you did it to him, now do it to me. The Zach Bagans method, that's more for ratings and money. So I'd like to say a lot of these shows, reality shows on television, are strictly entertainment. You can't take them legitly at face value because a lot of them half of them do have legit evidence, but a lot of times the approach that they're saying, like, now you do it to him, now do it to he, that's the wrong approach to do it. The best approach to when you communicate with the spirit is to basically say, please, thank you for allowing us to be in your home.
Yes.
Please
be
move
respectful.
this object, or please can you set this object off? We would really like to capture you and show yourself. And when you treat the spirits with respect and dignity, you're going to get more results than you are basically demanding that they do something good. That's going to lead to them getting angry and possibly possessing you, or possibly putting scratches. I remember the Sally house where they had this, where these people were doing this investigation one time. They were demanding that one of the spirits there was tried, and and of course this little girl Sally spirit who's been seeing there, supposedly her mother, who was an actual African slave, supposedly scratched these guys' backs and stuff like that. And the Sally house is one of the most haunted places in the Midwest. I think it's in Missouri. And that's a great example of not trying to demand and force them, because a lot of times if you try to force them, they're going to get angry and they're going to try to attack you. I've seen it happen in like scratches and markings, and also I've seen it with possessions and different things. So the right approach is being kind and respectful, and you get kindness, you're going to get kindness right back. Much like in life, we should treat the spirit world just as like they are in death. So that's how we do it. The right approach is being kind and nice. Don't do the reality television show way, because that's entertainment. That's just about money and ratings.
Exactly. You get more flies with honey than with vinegar. Just be respectful.
Is Zach Bagans respected in the society? I mean, in the community of
or is he a joke, Josh?
Or is
he a joke?
I'm going to say I respect his ability, like what he's done in the television world, like, in the paranormal entertainment world, is like a pioneer for someone to help push paranormal investigating on television. But I'm going to say he's a joke as in like investigating and like going out there and like documenting things. I have known his writer and researcher, Jeff Bellinger, for a long time. Jeff is an amazing writer and researcher. He's been with Zach since 2008. He's written like hundreds of episodes and still comes up with new locations for ghost adventures. But he's strictly an entertainer, like kind of like a WWE wrestler. He's on there just pretending to act like he's
a character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's just a television star that's entertaining the masses.
Yeah, I never cared for him, and just to say what Megan said, she said, I do not care for that guy. I never cared for him either because A, I thought he was pompous. B, I thought he came off very narcissistic and full of himself. C, the way that he went about stuff was so dangerous because he has this platform of where he's showing all these people what he does, and then people that don't know any better, then they go and try to do it that way, and that can be so dangerous, especially if they're dealing with something malevolent, so they're out there yelling, yeah, come get me, bro. Like, don't do that. That's so bad. It's not respectful and it's dangerous. And I really did like the guy you were talking about earlier, Josh. I can't remember what the show was called, but I used to watch it like religiously. The guy, Ryan.
Ryan Buell, yeah.
Yeah, he was always very respectful with stuff, for the most part. Sometimes he
But
wasn't.
I will say, actually, he had a lot of problems later on.
I heard.
So he supposedly, because trust me, I have a right-hand person working with me now in practice. Her name's Holly. She was the assistant to Elfie Music and PRS, and Holly will tell you she'll say a lot different opinion about Ryan because Ryan had a lot of drug problems and got in trouble with the law.
I heard
people would pay thousands of dollars to attend his lectures, and then literally he wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
Even Katrina.
But in the beginning, though, he was very sincere in the beginning. Once he got wrapped up in all kinds of other stuff, the show went downhill. He went downhill, but he at least had the forum and did it respectfully, where he would, ask. And that reminds me, there was a question in here, and I feel like I missed it. But it was from Necron, and I thought I starred it, but I must have missed it. But I remembered what it was. And he said, do you think that the witching hour is the same or different in different locations?
Absolutely, yes, because it really depends on where you're at, like in the world. Because the witching hour is basically, it has two main meanings: the folklore term for dark of the night when supernatural powers peak, and a modern parenting term for so basically the time is usually what we called in basically on Paranormal State, which is basically Ryan Buell's organization. He used to call it dead time, where the time the dead would come out and reveal themselves around 3:00 a.m. Usually following Monday. And actually, in the Christian lore, 3:00 a.m. is considered the inverse of 3:00 p.m. So basically, the traditional time of Jesus's crucifixion, and historically reviewed as a mocking hour for demonic activity. So is it believed that the veil between the living and dead is the thinnest during this time? Obviously, yes, because having that time and the witching hour definitely could be for the dark of night. So when supernatural powers peak, the witching hour is the same as dead time. So just really depends on where you're at and where it's interpreted throughout the world.
Agreed. Do you guys have more?
Fantastic answer.
Which explains Necron's show, right?
Yeah, Necron runs a show called The Witching Hour, so that's pretty spot on. Do you guys have any more questions right offhand, or should I ask some from the chat?
I do ask them from the chat, or maybe we could just play a quick little mini. Listen, guys, I'm having so much fun. I need a pee break. I've texted these two, and they're just like, yep, let's go. Josh, is it okay? Listen, I need the supreme leader here needs to go take a wee break.
Hey, you gotta go.
Talk amongst yourselves, or play something if you want, or ask a chat question. I'm gonna step away momentarily.
Sure, go for it.
All right, well, here.
We'll keep going.
Yeah, I will ask some of these chatter questions. Aaron, you said ask mine, and I missed yours, so type it again. But here's a question: Do you have any words on the works of Graham Hancock?
Oh, heck yes! Let me say this again. I actually had the opportunity to book Graham Hancock on the Dr. J Radio Live show in 2021 with my old boss, Dr. J, who was Art Bell's producer. And Art Bell actually really helped Graham Hancock get his start in 1996. He is an expert on ancient civilizations. He's been on with Joe Rogan many times, but Art was one of the really first ones to interview him and give him a platform. I have spoken to Graham many times. I actually have his email, and I'm actually working on getting him on with Carl Richardson on Midnight Frequency, who is Art Bell's brother-in-law's show. So Graham has definitely
cool.
he's a British author, and he also also writes about like his books Fingerprints of the Gods, which kind of picks up where Eric von Daniken's book left off. And he's also a legend. Like he's, I think he's British also as well, and he's also written books about the last ice age and all that stuff.
Oh, cool. Another person asked what your thoughts were on the Skinwalker Ranch.
The Skinwalker Ranch. Oh, that's a very, very fascinating place. And I know that it's got a lot of things that are going on there. And I know the owner of the Skinwalker Ranch is Brandon Fugel, if I remember correctly from my research from Colliers. And that actually has a lot of history there. It's a 512-acre property in south and northeastern Utah. And supposedly it's a hotbed of paranormal activity, UFO sightings, and animal mutilations. And it's actually named after a shape-shifting creature in Navajo folklore. And also, supposedly, a lot of it, the history of the land, goes back to the indigenous and the UTI and the Navajo tribes. And they considered it a very spooky place, with suggesting that the land was cursed. And back in the 1994, Terry and basically Gwen Sherman actually bought the ranch to raise cattle, and they reported like seeing aggressive bulletproof wolves, cattle mutilations, hovering orbs, and even 1996, Robert Bigelow from Bigelow Aerospace, who actually bought the ranch and established the National Institute for Discovery Science, actually studied the phenomena scientifically there as well. So yes, the place is a lot of big time. Even for example, the late Senator Harry Reid actually went ahead and actually funded the Advanced Weapons System, the AASAP, in the 2000s, utilizing the ranch as a primary site for studying unidentified aerial phenomena.
Cool.
Yeah, that show rules. Just saying, I love that show. I'm still, anytime Skinwalker Ranches, I watch all that stuff. You can't deny, Hey, sorry, I walked in late on that. Sorry.
That's all right. Do you guys want me to ask a few more questions, or do you want to ask some questions?
Can I ask a dumb one, just because for my own personal amusement?
Dude, for sure.
So I'm a great one for wishing horrible things on people, and this one says I shouldn't do that because that can turn around and come back and get me. But being that you're a ghost guy that takes spirits out of a place, if we knew a particular person that lived in a place where he shouldn't live, are you able to put ghosts into it?
Ghosts into it? Well, actually, I like to say that we are detectives. We investigate. We don't put ghosts into place. That would probably be somebody that would.
Bummer.
But we're more like
business. Yeah.
We're like the name. We detect the paranormal using state-of-the-art paranormal investigation equipment, but we don't go in and like bring ghosts in. That might be more of like somebody that would be like a shaman or something like that. That would be.
Do you know any shamans, Josh?
I do. I think
there we go. We're getting close. Okay, so
Easy.
a serious question. Back to your Zach Baggins thing.
Sure.
Okay, so he's got this thing in Vegas now where you can go and you can have a look at it, and so he's profiting. Yeah, so he's profiting off this. What is your feelings about, or the paranormal, community's feelings about profiting off something which is necessarily not positive?
I don't. When I look at like Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum, I think making a profit of the stuff. A lot of people. I usually say I talk down. I don't try to talk down to people, but I will say that the Zach Bagans Museum has a lot of things in it, and basically it's been around for a long time. But anybody that makes money off of things, like basically like for example, the Annabelle doll. As much as I respect Tony Spare and Judy Spare, like I think taking the Annabelle doll out on tour is extremely dangerous. As much as I love Tony and Judy, they're like family, but I think they should keep that doll locked up inside the Warren Museum, where I think Matt Rife just bought it a couple months ago. Not taking it out on tour for profit is very dangerous, because look what happened to Dan Rivera last July. Annabelle's handler, he passed away, taking that doll. And I was just hearing supposedly that the Warren they brought the doll actually to Penhurst Paracon, and I think it's extremely dangerous to take it out there. It should be locked up and stay where it's at, because that's what Ed and Lorraine had done. And and Tony and Judy, as much as I respect them, and I know John Zaffis would agree with me, keeping that doll out and making money out of it is extremely dangerous. So I say, any kind of making money in the paranormal, we usually like that people will look down to you on that. We should always just we're here to help people. We're not here to make money. Now, if we can make money from gas and tolls and getting donations, if we need to investigate a house and stuff like that, yes. But I think I think this is a not-for-profit field. This is something we just do for the love of it.
Yeah. And we have an item, and I did speak to you about this. We have an item, Miss A and I, who it's not allowed in the house anymore because we had it's surrounded by a lot of death. It caused death. I had to take it to work, and I've tried to give it away to people that I don't like, and they won't take it. But now when I spoke to you about, do you take these items? You said you don't, but you mentioned
I know a place that actually will.
PA.
I know a place. Yes, there's a place actually up in Doylestown, and
Yes.
we actually made NBC 10's Match tries at the ghost thing. It's called the Vampa Museum. They'll take it. I know the owner very well. His name is Ed Creamy. He's a really good friend. I've known Ed for a number of years. They have all kinds of artifacts from vampire killing kits. They have all kinds of paranormal artifacts. I'm sure Ed would take it in the heartbeat, because they have even a vampire set that belonged to Michael Jackson that he recorded with his movie Thriller. So I think if you have any kind of they have exorcism chairs there, they have hearse there, that would definitely be, I think, the best place to take it. It's right in Doylestown.
We actually went up and saw him. We didn't see Ed, but we went up and saw the
I tried to upload the pictures and they wouldn't upload.
They won't. Do you want me to try it? I have those pictures.
If you want to have a look, but we offered it to them, and it was funny because they were interested in it, but they had a room which I thought was interesting. They wouldn't let me in it, I don't believe, or I don't. It was in a cleansing room, so I wanted to go and have a look at the things that they had in there, which weren't yet ready for show. Right? They want to bring the negative energy down or take it away or something before they put it out there.
Right.
On show, but there was something which they said they were offered, and there's a great guy who's called Dan Bell, right? He does these videos that he goes into abandoned buildings and he sees. He's not a paranormal guy; he's more of an urban explorer. But they said that they were offered a torture chair, and they completely drew the line at that. They're like, "We're not taking this," and that type of stuff interests the hell out of me, but I'm like, well, I got something that probably got a lot more living souls attached to it than what
another person that you might want to talk to is, I think she's great, is one of my colleagues in the field. Her name's Mary Jo Chudley. She runs the Penn Paranormal Organization. She has dolls like Gretchen, like haunted dolls and stuff like that. She might be interested because she's like a haunted artifact collector. I would say if you talk to her or Ed Creamy, they might be interested in that item particularly. Especially Ed, I can even give you guys Ed's number off air, and you can just call him up and tell him about the item that you have. And you can always just kind of run it by him on text, screenshot some photos of it, and then explain what it is. And he probably would be interested in setting it up on display at the museum. So you can always ask Ed.
Yeah, we'll do that. I think we have his info. So
yeah,
go ahead.
We do have his thing. Is that something that when you give, okay, so if I have this item and I'm going to give it to you, let's just say, if I gave that to you, in your world, do I have a responsibility now to tell you what has happened since I've received this item?
Oh yeah,
or is it something I'm like, I don't want it, you take it, it's yours?
Well, here's something funny. Let's go back to Summerwood again. It's so funny when I mentioned the history a little bit about this place, but supposedly there's stories because the place burnt down in 1988. Actually, there's a family called the Hinshaw family. There's actually stories, suppose if you take a brick from Summerwood, you get into a car accident or something bad happens to you. I think, with these artifacts, it's very important to make sure that you have sometimes it's very important to tell people about these things. Do some, because everyone has different experiences with some of these different places. So I think it's very important to communicate and say, hey, this item is possessed or item is cursed. And a lot of times if you bring something in, like that has like attachments to it, you're most likely going to get affected somehow mentally or physically, or something could happen. Your energy could be drained from you. So I think it's very important to communicate and let people know that, hey, there's something going on here with this object. So I think it's an obligation for that person just to make sure to tell them about it, because you don't want that other person to get affected, then the person after that get affected. So I think it's very important to have a line of communication about everything.
Right.
Okay, cool. I have some questions from the chat, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, so let's see here. Shred, are you wanting me to add this?
Well, no, I was trying to add the photos that I just uploaded to of you guys at Vampa, but that's why that extra screen popped up. But there they are. Do you see them there? Or hold on, here they are. I'm gonna hold on. You want the one of
well,
you guys?
I'll ask these questions while you're doing that. These are just some really quick ones, Josh.
Sure.
First one, and I lost who asked it, so I apologize. And hey, chat, if I missed your questions, just repeat it, because at one point they were coming so fast. I'm sure I missed some. I'm sorry. One person asked, what do you think about voodoo dolls? Just like your quick.
Oh,
whatever.
Voodoo dolls, extremely dangerous, because basically, I believe voodoo is like a religion that's a very dangerous religion to get involved with. And I know down in, like, it's a human effigy, sympathetic magic tool to focus energy, manifest desires, or serve as a record of intent. So basically, the origins of voodoo actually date back to like European witchcraft and folk magic, and Haitian voodoo and Louisiana voodoo. And so basically, voodoo dolls are rarely used, but it's extremely dangerous because there's like also practitioners may also have a sympathetic connection or a name written on the paper of the doll. And also there's different colored pins that are pushed into parts of a doll that can also focus on the intent, such as like pinning a heart for love, or the head for mental clarity or stress relief. So I think voodooism is a very dangerous religion out there. And if basically practitioners and Wiccans use them, it can have a positive manifestation or sometimes a negative manifestation depending on the intent of the person.
Okay, cool. Next one. Is there anything legit about the Mind Seed guys?
The Mind Seed guys, I definitely think that's a really good question. And the Mind Seed guys is something I've actually had the opportunity to study a little bit, throughout like my life. And I think basically it's a very fascinating subject as well. So I think the Mind Seed guide is something that's like basically, I heard something about it. I think it's in the Paranormal. It's in a YouTube channel that focuses on suspenseful paranormal investigation. I think it's fronted by Casey Nolan. And I believe that the host is the founder. And I believe the team became famous for uploading videos of terrifying titles and high production value while capturing extreme phenomena like unexplained noises, dedicated audience, and questioning the authenticity of captured footage. So I believe that they're on YouTube as well, and I think they're very well known too.
Nice. I do have those pictures of Vampa. I loaded those up. Lee, here's the pictures of you two there at Vampa. Is that where you're at there?
Yeah, that's it. This place is pretty cool. Like it was a bit of a hike for us, but I found that I couldn't tell after a while how much of it was artistic and how much of it was actually real. Like there was a lot of photos that to me looked like they were put there for atmosphere, and then there was a room that had some dolls in it, but the dolls they were just behind chain, and I was like, that. I mean, look, if something's really dangerous, just to have something that just has a chain across it, I believe might be a little bit for show. But again, there were some really cool things in it. Like there was the Exorcist chair, which I would have given anyone any money to just sit in it for a little bit. I thought it was like the most uncomfortablest looking chair I've ever seen. But if you get a chance to go and have a look at this place, to see some of the vampire staking implements that were kind of being like people had, very, I guess, affluent people had back in the 1800s.
Hold on.
It's crazy that vampires were also something you needed protection from in the 1800s, right? I mean, even back then, I assumed that people might have looked at that and gone, "That's a bit odd."
Yep. Let's see, what else do we have next? is there any legit supernatural stuff in the H.P. Lovecraft writings?
Oh yeah, I love H.P. Lovecraft, and obviously, I had the opportunity to several times do an interview with S.T. Joshi. He's like one of the authorities on Lovecraft, and obviously, he's been around a long time, and he's actually one of those guys. I think he's like studied Lovecraft, right, and he has a lot. I think that Lovecraft, S.T. Joshi, is actually his work is studying Lovecraft, and he's actually he had a lot of research. He's from India, and he's very fascinating because he's Lovecraft wrote a lot of things about spiritualism, and of course, Lovecraft was also like a guy that was also a science fiction writer, and also was very well known in his life. So yes, I think he did have a lot of supernatural aspects in his writings.
Cool. All right, let's see. Let me just ask a couple more real quick so that we can get through them, and then I'll put you back on the guys. One person asked, have you ever been to a place outside of America, like England or Scotland? And if you haven't, would you like to do that?
I have not yet. That's a really good question, but I would love to. In fact, one of my goals that I'm trying to work on doing, I've been talking with a guy named Keystone Pictures named Rob Marish. He's a pitch guy, and I'm trying to eventually get a paranormal television show going that'll be international based, because like everyone's been all over like America, investigate over there. I mean, there's been so many shows. I'd like to do it abroad now, go to Japan or Ireland. It's something that I would love to do, is get like a paranormal TV show with Rick and Melissa going down the line, because I know paranormal television shows were canceled when Discovery had cuts and stuff during the pandemic, but it would be one of my dreams to like do like some old like samurai places in Japan that nobody else has been. So that's kind of a dream, going abroad eventually in the future that I would love to do. Especially like the Tower of London and Scotland and Ireland. There's so many great places internationally that have tons of activity, old castles and such. So I think it would be a really cool dream to eventually do down the road. So I'm definitely interested in doing that in the future.
Awesome.
The Japanese stuff, the Japanese spirits just seem a hell of a lot more vicious. I don't know if that's just the movies saying that, but like over there, haunted places are depicted as wet, where here they're depicted as cold. Is there a reason for that, Josh, or is that like just the cultural difference of that's also scary?
I think that's just the cultural differences, basically, because basically each culture has a different way of doing things and like different like religions, different philosophies. And I think that's just basically how they interpret things. Like I said, because everyone sees the world differently. And that's exactly what perception is, the process of receiving information and making sense of it. So their perceptions of how they do things over there is different than how we do things here.
Right. Because is the grudge house, isn't that real? Did I not?
Yes. I heard about that. Yes.
So that to me is freaky, because it's like that's like a virus in the movies. If that's the way it is. Unlike here, where it's like, well, things are attached to things. You seem to be able to walk out and just walk away. There, it was like, well, this thing gets on your back like like a virus, and it follows you until you can give it to someone else or whatever. But that is does that kind of up the stakes of ghost hunting? Does that kind of make it a little bit more risky?
I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that does that excite you?
Yes, it does.
The danger.
I live. They usually call dangers my middle name. I love jumping in and doing things that nobody else has done. Like we got some of our own like investigation protocols that nobody else has done, like such as using taking the Estes method with our psychic medium, but then adding EMF meters and then adding voice recorders and then adding a tripwire. We've created our own version of the Estes method that's better than most of the paranormal teams out there today, and we've perfected it. And it's called the Chairs Warner Spirit Box session, where we hook up our psychic medium and then using the dowsing rods and the EMF meters. It's just like taking what they did on Kindred Spirits with Amy Bruni and Adam Berry and just multiply it and put it on steroids and add more to it. So it's great to come up with stuff that's unique that nobody else has done. I love being innovative and using like pendulums and stuff like that too.
Lee, this question's for you. Lee, did you show him your haunted tape recorder?
Yeah, good question, Jeremy.
No, I don't. So I was going to bring it up when you said about the voice recorder, right? And I was going to say, well, what if my voice recorder is also possessed? Because
our voice recorder is haunted, Josh.
So
that's pretty cool.
We tried to show it. We tried to show it on the stream last week because we were talking about that you were coming on. when we purchased this thing, long story short, we purchased it from like an estate sale, and we were going to sell it, but we wanted to test it first. When we hit play, there was an audible gunshot that came out of it, even with the
Yeah, but
echo.
not when we first got it. When we first got it, we tested it. There was no tape in it or anything because this is
we
from
came home and put
1984.
batteries in it. So it
it's
didn't have any. It didn't
not
have any tape in
digital.
it.
And
Yeah,
no sound on, and no sound on
no
it
sound
either.
when we got it. But
Yeah,
then
so
when we moved to this
put-
house, we tested it again when we found it in a box,
and
and
it had an
that's when the
audible
gunshot happened.
gunshot on it.
And like I said, that
so
residual effect, basically that place memory. So there could be like a memory from 1984. That was the year I was born, so that's special to me because I was born in '84, and so I could definitely see it's that residual effect.
Go get it, babe. Go get it because
dude.
go
Fraser's
play.
daring you.
Like
it doesn't.
No, go get it.
I'm fucking hoping, right, that this thing does the gunshot because last week it made me look like a fool, Josh. And it was like, son of a bitch.
Lee, no matter what it does, we have the guy on right now that can help us decipher whatever it is now, even if it's become something else.
Yeah, when we first moved here, it sounded like a shotgun. It went like that.
Like almost
now it sounds
wonder,
almost like now it's elongated. Now it's like
you wonder like where that thing has been before you guys had acquired it, and also if it was used on investigations, maybe it was used like on a Civil War battlefield or like
Who
a
knows?
Revolutionary
But there's
War.
no tape in it, man. This doesn't have the digital capability.
I just tested it, and it did the gunshot. So we
okay, all right.
Okay,
and
let's go.
Hold on, I've cleaned
everyone
the head, so it's not that. Okay.
Solo Lee, solo him up. Please.
We've rigged this up to work, Josh, all right? So it's not fake.
No, we didn't.
What do you mean rigged?
Shut up and listen to it. Do you hear that? That first hit? Listen.
Now show them there's no tape in there.
Yeah.
Show them there's no tape. Look. There's nothing in it.
Wow.
There's no way that could happen.
Nope. There's no way because basically there's no tape on that thing. So that thing is definitely. Wow.
So someone did say it could have dust on the head. We've gone through. This
I cleaned the head.
Shit. So
So there's like everything's been cleaned on it. There's no reasonable explanation why that's there.
No, and it wasn't there when we got it. Only when we moved here.
At the start, when you hit the button, I don't know if it's very audible when I did it through the thing, but it was. And then it kind of filters out into static. But it's been doing that since we got it. It doesn't work. The spools, is it the spools? They don't spin. Nothing in it is moving. So we have no reason why that is. So when you said get your little tape recorder and stick it up in your thing, I'm like, well, what happens if this is also haunted, Josh? Is this going to make a cooler sound when I stick it up there and hit the record button? But yeah,
absolutely. It's very. I was fascinated to see that because I was amazed that actually happened, and I was very surprised, and I really was very. That was very. I've never seen anything like that before. It's definitely something. It was a first for me. Seeing like a gunshot coming out of it.
Electronics is one of those things where it's probably 1,000 things that could happen that could make that sound. It's just interesting because it's an estate sale, so you assume that potentially the owner has passed. And Miss A and I used to do crime scene cleanup, and we've seen a lot of places where like a suicide had happened. And the funny thing is that like the worst ones that I go to or that we've been to don't ever seem to have any lingering feelings in the rooms. And I don't know if it's because it's just way too soon or whatever it is, but it's not like you get in there and you're like, oh wow. You kind of look at the story and go, yeah, it's very tragic and it's dark, but I'm not in there going, something's watching me, you know what I mean? There's no feeling. So is that something where maybe, you know, because thinking about what you said about like, you know, a replaying event, you know, because I would assume something like Skid Row in LA, there's a lot of really dark things that happen in that place. A lot of people die in that place, but you never hear of Skid Row being haunted. But when you go to a motel that's got no one in it, well, that one's haunted. Does that kind of trick you as like maybe that's a little weird?
Yeah, definitely, because especially the unoccupied places are the ones you're probably going to have a lot of activity, and that's why like sometimes going on investigation like when like, you know, too many people are going to scare spirits away. So, like, for example, doing a public hunt. That's why I prefer like a small team with, because everyone has different experiences. And when you have a smaller team, instead of like 50 people on one team, like I've seen these teams where there's like 10, 20 people, it's just way too much overkill. Like working with small teams, I've noticed that you get more experiences because spirits are more willing to communicate with you versus having a large team of like 20 people or 10 people on investigation, because a lot of times evidence can also get compromised. And when you're doing EVP work, which is called electronic voice phenomena, a lot of times you hear people coughing and you gotta say tag, and if you cough or sneeze or even fart, you gotta like tag that. Or even burp or whatever. So that's how evidence can get compromised. So it's very important to, in my opinion, to actually have like basically making sure that you have like places that there's not a lot of people around, because you'll get better evidence that way, and you'll have more experiences as well. Such as, for example, if you want to go to Penhurst, which is an awesome place, do it, but like try to find like a floor that nobody else is on, and then you might have your own supernatural experience. And that's why going to places that have activity but also haven't been investigated, and also there's not a lot of people around, that's where you're going to get a lot more results, I think.
Yeah, that makes
Very
sense.
cool.
I'm going to show you two things real quick because we're at our 2-hour mark, so I think we're going to have to wrap up.
Yes.
But one of the comments was, "Hey man, you have to come back on, Josh." And then the person right after that said, agreed.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll do this again. I'm more than happy to come on anytime again. In fact, maybe next time I can bring Rick or Melissa with me if you guys want to do this again.
Absolutely.
We could definitely set that up. And
I'd love to get in some UFO stuff with Rick. Yeah, for sure.
And listen,
UFO would be amazing.
There is about 4 questions I didn't get to. So chatters, I'm really sorry if we missed your questions, but we're at our 2 hours and we try to stay really tight to the 2 hours. So I apologize. Do you guys have any quick questions?
I got one which I end with everyone.
Oh, I have balloons.
I don't know if you have one. Do you want to?
No,
do you want
Lee.
something?
Although I had questions, they were all completely answered by in the chat and then some. So thank you very much. Go ahead, Lee.
I can't. Okay, so I'm going to have to remember this. I can't find it. So, Josh, you're not going to know the answer to this, and I completely understand why. But I just need a yes or a no answer. Okay.
Okay.
Are you aware of the musical genre black metal?
Black metal. Oh yes, I think it's like kind of like, I'm not sure if it's like satanic metal, but it's like more
beautiful.
Like,
so you know about all you need to know. So this is what I want to ask you.
We ask everyone this question.
We ask everyone, so don't think I'm picking on you when I ask this. Is black metal metal? Or do you find that black metal, if you were to think of something in your brain right now, because you already picked the lotto numbers, so I want you to picture what you think black metal would sound like. Do you think it's like a heavy abrasive music, or do you think it's very atmospheric?
I think it's more atmospheric because it's defined as, because
Aaron, yes, we got one. I'm putting you down, sir. But please explain why you think it is. Josh, explain why. Why you think it might be.
Because it's atmospheric, because if you listen to the guitars, for example, they're very highly distorted. They got trembly tones. They got rapid tremolo picking, because I'm a guitar player myself. I play. And also the drums, for example, have a lot of double bass drumming. They're freaking beat blast. The vocals are very kind of raspily. Their high-pitched shrieks are kind of gnarls and low-pitched death growls. And then the atmospheric, meaning like it's creating a cold, dark, or metallic feeling of rather than technical instruments. And of course, it's also anti-Christian, but it's more like occultism in nature. So, it actually started in like 1980 with bands like Venom and of course Hellhammer. And
oh my God. That's amazing,
like,
dude. That's amazing.
Dude,
whoa.
I wish we had another 2 hours.
Do you know what's going to be funny tomorrow when we go, Josh was an awesome guest, right? And then we're going to go, I might text Josh again, and I ring up that thing, and it's like, this is not Josh's number. Who is Josh?
He's going to block us.
Yeah, there is no such person called Josh. Oh, Josh never existed.
Dude, Northstorm's saying we need an encore with you, Josh.
That's amazing. Thank you for agreeing with the only two people on Earth who actually think that black metal is
Thank you. And thank you, Megan, for your super chat. We appreciate it. Shred, do you have any questions?
I mean, no, they were all answered. I mean, listen, I have other things I would like to talk about, but we could go on and on and on tonight. Like, I have such other ghostly experiences and supernatural stuff that happened to me throughout my childhood. I think what we might need to do while we're live here now, and since all the FOMOs are here and Josh is here, we will come back. We will revisit with Josh because
yes.
I have a gazillion stories that, I mean, my mom, I didn't even get, I have so many more photos that can be presented for the Washoe Club too. So
me too. I have that video of the toy talking.
The toy talking video. So
Josh wouldn't even get into that. Oh,
yeah,
not. And speaking of that, like, I think it'll be great. Maybe next time I'll bring Melissa on with me, and she could do some readings and stuff like that as a psychic medium, and she could answer questions about mediumship. I could definitely ask her and see if she's interested in doing that. We could do this. She's right in Wilmington, Delaware, but she can get on with me anytime. And so she's also a commentator and a co-host for the Flying Cherries podcast. So I'm sure Melissa would definitely be interested. And maybe we could add her in, maybe, or Rick, and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, definitely.
And also,
Josh, stick around after we end.
Actually,
okay?
I'd like to do one more thing tonight. Could I plug in my websites and my YouTube channels?
Oh, hold on. I got you.
Yeah, we have these. Yeah, we have these.
Here you go. Ready?
Talk about it while we go.
Sure. So the first one is phantomdetectives.org. That is the main hub of everything that we do. We got a brand new website. Check it out. It's freaking awesome. We actually have like the most state-of-the-art website in the paranormal field, hands down the best. And it has like all of our evidence from our past investigations. We even have paranormal investigator training courses. You want to learn how to be a ghost hunter? Go to the phandetectives.org and scroll down to the homepage, and you'll find a link that says, enroll. There's Udemy classes that Rick Warner has on phandetectives.org. And you can go there and learn how to train to be a paranormal investigator. We're one of the few teams out there that actually have course instructors on how to ghost hunt. And then if you have a UFO question, you want to learn about extraterrestrial things, that is a Rick Warner thing. His website is ERC2explore.com. That is ERC2explore.com. If you have a question on UFOs, Rick Warner is your man. If you want a psychic reading done, have a question on anything about mediumship, Melissa Ferrazzano can be reached at all one word, psychicmediumautumn.com. That is psychicmediumautumn.com. She's also available on Facebook under Melissa Sloan Ferrazzano. If you want to if you have questions about occult symbols or spiritual beliefs, our team member Holly Faust, who is a part of the Penn State Paranormal Research Society, her website is Holly, HOLLY, FAUST.com. So hollyfaust.com. So hollyfaust.com is the other one. HOLLYFAUST. Hollyfaust.com is our team member Holly's website. And then if you have a question on Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, the world-renowned psychic explorer who I talked about before, his website is all one word, afterlifefrequency.com. That's afterlifefrequency.com. He's fantastic.
Absolutely. Dude.
Did I get all these right, Josh? Check it out.
I think spelling, let's go back. Let's double check to the beginning. I'll try to correct you on a spelling. I think there's a couple that were misspelled, but that's okay.
Help me out. ERC2explore.com. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. Psychicmediumautumn.com.
Correct.
All right. hollyfaust.com.
Correct. Oh.
And yes.
Sure. Mark Anthony, a psychic lawyer. So that's Afterlife Frequency. And we actually, that's frequency is spelled FREQUENCY. You have to add the E in.
You messed that one up, Miss Lady.
Oh, man, I was typing too fast.
She was a court reporter style. It happens.
I was typing too fast. My bad. Here you go.
The Fraser says whatever.
And, we got one more website also I want to add into this. And this is actually the news service of Carl Richardson's Midnight Frequency podcast. This is Art Bell's brother-in-law's. This is actually Joshua Stark's website. Joshua Stark is the news anchor, the new anchor of Dark Matter News. And mind you, Dark Matter News is something that we own. It was a news service of Art Bell's final show, Midnight in the Desert. We own it. And it was a 5-minute paranormal newscast. That website is all one word, darkmatternews.com. Dark and the word dark matter, MATTER news, NEWS.com. It's all things paranormal news. We just rebuilt the website. It looks freaking awesome. darkmatternews.com.
Awesome.
Yeah. Check them out. darkmatternews.com.
And don't forget to follow.
Actually, one more
Instagram,
website.
too.
Yes, I'll give you one more website if you want to check out Midnight Frequency Radio with Carl Richardson. I would love to put that up here because next week we're actually going to be interviewing Jonathan Reed about the alien in the freezer. There's a story about him like supposedly capturing this alien in the freezer in the wilderness. Carl's website is nwdn.net. That's nwdn.net.
DN and like Nancy.
Yep. So N as in Nancy, W as in watch, D as that's it. Yep. That's Carl Richardson's website. You want to reach Art Bell's brother-in-law.
All right. So there you go, guys. So I'm going to flash
on there as well. Right.
I'm going to flash all these one more time. Okay, guys.
Flash them all
so this
up.
is Phantom Detectives LLC. This is Josh. Okay. This is his website, phantomdetectives.org.
Josh will get him out of there for you.
There you go. Phantom Detectives LLC on Instagram. And now to check out his colleagues. Okay. ERC2Explore.com. PsychicMediumAutumn.com. HollyFaust.com. AfterlifeFrequency.com. DarkMatterNews.com and NWDN.net. So you guys screenshot whatever you want to go and check it out.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you again for coming on. I'm going to go ahead and pull everyone off. We're going to end it. Do you guys have any ending comments, questions, anything like that?
Nope.
I just want to, Josh, first and foremost, yes. Thank you for coming on, dude.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. That was so much fun.
That was fun. Lee, any questions? Are you good?
No, I got my black metal question out there. I just want to say thank you, Josh. I know we went backwards and forwards a bunch of times, but we got it here.
Yes.
No, I already stopped. Again, just thank you, Josh. Again, I get the back of my head. I have experiences that I can't. I mean, I'm like, hey man, maybe we're gonna save it for next time. We are gonna do a part 2 to this. Okay.
Yes.
Look forward to that on down the road. And again, thank you, Josh.
That's right. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Don't forget to share the stream. Make sure you rewatch it. Share it with friends. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. And we just wanted to thank you guys for all being here. And we'll see you guys next time. Later, metalheads.
Later. Dimebag Daryl, Nettlebeard, Chuck Norris, Kick-Ass Beard.
Where's Becky? She's taking a shit.
I'm gonna kick his ass, and then I'm gonna kick your ass.
You're not gonna touch me.
And then I'm gonna kick it like rock death.